organs is only visible from outside. This lack of total confidence is essential to keep patients safe. Dr. Sanjay Desai spoke about Mike Brearley. He's written a fabulous book, The Art of Captaincy. And Mike Brearley was, he's been a remarkable individual where he's always said that individuals need to have a combination of security, insecurity, underconfidence, overconfidence. Only then you will be able to understand as a captain what goes on with all the people around you and how you can kind of keep them in check, make them grow, and produce uncommon results. So the last statement here is that I recommend you always retain a healthy fear of complications and use it to drive you to get safer and safer all the time. The other aspect, as I go towards the last half or last part of my talk, is about service consistency. We all doctors, we all surgeons, we all technicians are as good as our last patient. And if there was something which separated this man from everyone else, was the fact that he had remarkable consistency for the world, 24 years. For me, it was much more than that because I was fortunate enough to be playing with him from 1983 to 1987, after which this man just went berserk from class 10 when I was in class 11. So this particular picture is just a part of reflected glory, but when we meet once in a while, we don't discuss international cricket and his life of 24 years. We discuss the days before he came onto the Indian team. There's another slide here and another picture and another man, which is important. And this is John von Lantern, the lead diver in the Thai cave rescue. He said, I dived for passion and always wondered if it would have a purpose. Last 2 weeks was what I prepared for my entire life. I think all of this is applicable in our chosen profession in whatever we want to do. And then comes something which is important, that consistency is what transforms the average into excellence. I think if we are average and if we continue to be mediocre or if we continue to be inconsistent, we are going to be far away from excellence and we are not going to enjoy the process of excellence. I keep on telling my residents about attention to detail, and somewhere I know where this has come from. Not by this statement that the difference between good and great is attention to detail, but I think pancreatic surgery, for example, is so unforgiving that you do not want to make a single mistake every single time you do, simply because one mistake is enough. So there is no end to the attention to detail that you have to spend in every single case that you operate. But more than these awards and this kind of a talk to share with so many luminaries like you, it's more important that when nobody is watching you, you keep on auditing your work in your day-to-day practice. And as Henry Ford said, quality outcome is doing it right when nobody is watching. We did publish this paper in 2019 of 1,200 Whipple resections. And it feels very flattering to get a remark from the president of the association saying that this is remarkable, coming from a middle-income country is even more remarkable, and that our experience is something which is a leading light for all the people. This has been my journey as far as only pancreatic surgery is concerned. I have been very fortunate to be in Sion, learn things there, move on to Shri Clinic, then be in Bern and in Heidelberg, and then the last 2 decades at the Tata Memorial, so that we are now recognized as one of the highest volume centers for pancreatic surgery in the world. Dr. Desai spoke about, and Mathur sir also spoke about, the fact that we need to document. If at all there was one of the teachers during our times who was clearly documenting and publishing, it was Dr. Mathur, one of our very well-known teachers and leaders in HPB surgery. And he would be pleased to see today that from the time that I spent and started off in Bern, I told you that my first publication came in 2000 September. I have kept an independent track and an audit of what am I doing. So you will see that there are inconsistencies in inverted commas, the number of publications, but I think that is less important. What you publish, why you publish, and how important it is very important. And here you see the H index or the citations by year, and I still seem to be doing some things fairly well because the citations have continued to increase in my 20-year journey of publishing in GI and HPB surgery. This takes me back to a book which I was gifted by Helmut Fries, and in this slide I do thank him. And that says, why do you want to publish? You can have egoistic motives just for getting an academic or a professional promotion. Maybe you get financial gain. You can improve your knowledge and judgment as well. And of course, people get to know you. As a very famous surgeon said, I can teach a monkey to operate, but if you can publish well, I can make you world famous. So it depends on what's your motive. But you can also have altruistic motives, as Dr. Mathur mentioned, that you generate, you ask questions, and then you get some answers and you try to disseminate knowledge. Or it's simply for the fame and fun and the pleasure of finding things out. I read all this a long time ago, but suddenly time flies and 2 decades have gone by at the Tata Memorial. And perhaps now I realize that yes, I'm experiencing a journey of moving towards excellence. It's taken me a long time, but it's more of a process rather than a destination. I spoke so much about what I have done and how my journey was and how I've benefited and what are my abilities to carry on. But perhaps I also start to realize that the real satisfaction lies in transferring knowledge and expertise. This is Marcus Buchler, a father figure to me. He taught me a lot in Heidelberg and continues to mentor me. But today I get these kinds of messages from all over the country. And I see these kinds of intraoperative pictures, clean, nice, well done, complex surgeries. And then when I've actually looked at data, I can be very confident that I have about 35 people who are trained to do complex pancreatic surgery in different corners of the country, not just in tier 1, but tier 2 and tier 3 cities. I think this is extremely gratifying. Knowledge is not supposed to be retained. Knowledge is supposed to be transferred so that we see growth elsewhere. Last 2 or 3 slides before I close. I've been a part of the Lancet Oncology Commission, and here you can see what happens to a low and middle income country like India. And we stand to lose trillions and trillions of dollars because of lack of cancer surgery. You will see enormous increase in cancer, unfortunately, in the next 10 years, especially in a country like India. And as you have seen in the COVID pandemic as well, we have health disparities across this nation, and we are going to be challenged by cancer care investment in the coming decade as well. Today, we spend about 1.95 US dollars per capita expenditure. And if we don't do by 2030 at least 3.95, the one area highlighted in red, and if the other countries also don't raise the bar in low income as well as the upper income countries, if we do that, we will save about 7.3 million lives by 2030. So these are real recent figures only if we start to look at what needs to be done in our own country. That's why I look forward to further growth as an individual, and all my experiences so far are going to help me. This is hopefully going to be the new Tata Memorial Hospital that you will see in the next 4 to 5 years. We hope to start construction later this year, for which we have floated a big tender. And this would be a 500-bedded state-of-the-art hospital, which would be treating 60% of patients subsidized. We are a Department of Atomic Energy institution, and 60% patients are getting world-class care despite all the challenges of volumes and crowding, etc. We are moving on a massive scale to try and develop not just in Mumbai, but in Kharghar. You will hear something more tomorrow as well. and in Varanasi, in Punjab, in Visakhapatnam. So we are trying our bit to try and see how we can improve cancer care, not just in my career, but for the next 40 to 60 years. And here I come close to the end of my talk, and I think it's important that we learn from history because that will keep us humble. I spoke so much, and you introduced me about more than 1,000 Whipples, etc. It's very important to know that someone attempted this even before antibiotics and published about this in Annals of Surgery in 1934 for doing 3 operations of this. That was by Alan O. Whipple. Of course, the first Whipple was actually done by an orthopedic surgeon, and that was Cordially in Imola, who then became famous for calcaneal bone fixation and bone traction. But he did the first Whipple in 1898 in Imola in Italy. As I look forward to building this new hospital and developing teams across the country and our own team in Tata, I think you realize that there is so much to learn and you know so little. And who is saying this? This gentleman who needs no introduction. So I think if we want to really stay grounded and experience real growth, it's good to know that you need to have more knowledge. And the more knowledge you have, lesser is going to be your ego. And that's something which is going to help us. It's also very gratifying that despite this pandemic, we have continued our services in Tata Memorial. And this is also a part of our commitment to cancer care and service excellence, that we haven't stopped our services even once since the pandemic began last year. Last but not the least, all this that I presented to you is not me alone. It's of course a great institution where I have now amazingly spent close to 20 years now. And this is what I believe in, that talent wins matches, but teams always win championships. With that, I will end. Thank you so much for this honor, for having me. And I look forward to the rest of the program as well. Thank you once again.
Well, just as we said, the talk was spellbound after Dr. Desai spoke. This is something which we completely feel like applauding at the age that you have achieved so much. And we wish you the very best for many, 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 many more milestones. And I'm too small to say anything, so I would really want Dr. S.K. Mathur sir to be on the screen to actually present you this RSG Wisdom and Excellence Award, Dr. Shailesh V. Srikhande. And would we also be able to get Dr. V.N. Srikhande? Would he be able to start his video? Can we add him to the...
I don't know. He's somewhere else. I'm somewhere else, but I don't know. I see his name, but I don't know whether he's available on the video.
Oh, okay. So we're hoping that he is listening into us, and that itself is great pride for us. Can we at least add him to the screen, even though his video isn't on? This is actually quite special to us. The award is, of course, Wisdom and Excellence, but to have him on the screen, I'm sure it is also special for Dr. Mathur equally. But Dr. Mathur, would you want to say a few words while you present the award?
Yeah, sure. I thought when Dr. Srikhande also joined. Anyway,
yeah.
Say that what congratulations, Shailesh.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I think I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry to interrupt. Sir's here. I think just give us a minute till we add him to the screen.
Sure. I can see him.
Sir is right here. Go ahead, Dr. Mathur, and after you, we'll have Sir speak.
Yeah. So Shailesh, congratulations for not only this award, but I know this is addition to many awards I can see on the wall in the background of the room. I call Shailesh the flying Milkha Singh of pancreatic surgeon and IHPBA academic field. And the reason is, he, if I'm right, he's the youngest deputy director of Tata Memorial Hospital. He is the youngest president of IHPBA India. He has been the youngest chair of the scientific committee of International HPV Association. If I'm not forgetting anything else, Shri, you can remind me, but I know that. That's why I'm going to call him Flying Milkha Singh of HPV surgery of India.
Thank you.
What he has achieved, what he aspired for, is definitely exemplary for the people who are going to follow him. I can't call them a young generation because he himself belongs to a young generation. Okay, so I won't use that word, the young generation, to follow you, because you are still 10 years more, and perhaps by that time, if the uh, life expectancy goes up, you will remain younger even by the time you reach my age. Okay, so there are a lot of people who have to take the example from you in the field of academic surgery. And also what I learned today is your other aspect, that is the sports. Now, having myself played badminton at the college and at the state level, I know that sports brings a kind of discipline.
Mhm.
And that also pushes you towards being excellent. So definitely, I'm proud of you, proud of your achievements in all the fields, and all the best for the future.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Well, the being young and the your life expectancy, the role model is right there. His father at 90, he is with his Bluetooth on, listening in and watching it. And just because I pursued to request him to do this, because this is really special, and uh, Sir has actually been my mentor in this Wisdom and Excellence Awards journey. He has supported me. He's been there to do valedictories. In the morning, we were remembering him. We thought we were going to miss him, but he made sure he's there. I don't know if someone can help, Sir. Unmute, sir. Can you unmute yourself and say a few words? We also have Dr. D.N. Reddy, sir, on the screen with us here.
I will try to tell him. I'll try to tell him.
Okay, great. Well, would Dr. T. Nageshwar Reddy, sir, want to say anything? A couple of words before we actually move on with your award.
No, I think Shailesh has, of course, presented a fantastic journey that he's had. I've always been a great admirer of Shailesh because he's one of the few surgeons who combines excellence with wisdom and research quality. I think very few surgeons have the quality of research thinking that he has, and I think this is something very important. His contributions to field of pancreatology and, of course, pancreatic oncology is immense. You can see that this makes India, I think, all of us proud to be Indians because of his contributions. And I actually know that how he's valued so much in the international field of pancreatology. So I think it's fantastic to have somebody like Shailesh. It's great pleasure to hear him too.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Means a lot to me, and good to see you after a long time.
Well, we'll.
I've requested my dad. He's
Yes,
unmuted,
he's
and
unmuted.
maybe he can say a few words.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I cannot believe I'm taking part in a system which I never dreamt in my life. The first time I touched the phone was in 1948. I came from Belgaum to Mumbai, and I did not know how to use a phone. And now from that stage to now, it has been a Zoom journey. And now it will be an interesting thing to see how much progress has been done in such a short time. I think I'm very fortunate They live so long in a nice way. I wish all the best. Sure, you will do more dedicated work and take the country up in the knowledge, in the world of giants. India is no longer a developing country. You have to develop the country with giants like you, whom I see just now. I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Shailesh Srikhande, to be with us and to receive this award. It's a sheer honor for
Thank
us.
thank you.
We will, of course, move on to the next elite award. And this is one of the awaited dignitaries of the evening, our keynote speaker and RSG Wisdom and Excellence awardee, Dr. D. Nageshwar Reddy.
Thank you.
Yes, and I would definitely want to, well, I hope this has stayed a surprise for you, but we have Dr. Ajay Kumar here, your good friend, to do the introduction. I would like to call upon him to do the honors.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Actually, I was on, sorry for this thing. I was on my journey from out of station, so I just stopped back on the way. First of all, thank you very much. First thing, before I go on to Nagi, my thanks for giving me an opportunity to see Professor Shri Khande again after a long time, my hero for a long time. And of course, one excellent talk by Shailesh. Well, it's my proud privilege that I've been given the opportunity to introduce Nagi, Dr. Nageshwar Reddy, at this meeting, at this award, prestigious award. Well, a lot of people know a lot of things about Nagi. He's an internationally known figure. He's, of course, we all knows the chairman of AIG hospitals. But for me, the introduction goes back to exactly 38 years when we met for the first time at PGI Chandigarh. Well, Nagi has been a revelation for all of us. When we first met him, we knew him for his simplicity. Very simple man. Ordinary clothes, no flashing, nothing. Full of sincerity to his patients, empathy, taking full interest in their patient care. And what impressed us during those days, in addition to his simplicity, that he had only two works to do, to look after his patients and to read. A serious scholar, all the time spending either in the library or in the wards. We'll never see him outside anywhere. We lived in the same hostel, we never saw him there. As the time went by, Nagi has gradually revealed himself in a very gradual way. He started showing his passion for endoscopy and the way he worked hard. Hard work is something which all of us can learn from him. I mean, working day, night, 18 hours a day, without a break, without a holiday. And nobody across the world doesn't even knowing what is cooking up in Hyderabad. The way it evolved, and it showed is another thing, silently working hard for his passion, and that is endoscopy. And when the people started believing that he's gone into total endoscopic world, which is more of a glamour, more of a more related to surgical, he was gradually giving shape to his dream. And that is a long journey. I can keep on talking about it. What he was trying to do is to build up a team and build up an institute which the country is proud of. Actually, we all feel great by looking at his all these qualities coming up and making him, helping him to make a great institute which entire country is proud of. And he set up a new model, is a low-cost, high-end care, which all of us can take example and move ahead to provide answer to our patients. During all this, what he has shown is a steel frame that is, if he has made up his mind, he will not deviate from that. He will take opinion of everybody. At the same time, will build up his institute, not compromising on his values, not compromising on the ethical aspects of the patient care. And so we have a full personality, which is always a rare combination. And then going on, while doing all this, he's also to excelled in the research in the medical field and published exponentially, at the same time getting all the awards that is feasible. I can't even name them, all of them, and I'm sure that everybody is aware of that. So Nagi, we really are proud of you. And the last thing that I like to add, it's very rare. It's the best compliment that I can give. It's very rare that your friends, your colleagues become your role model. So for me, from a friend, from a colleague, he has become a role model for us, and not only for me, for the huge different two generations of endoscopists from our country. And above all, he's still proud to be an Indian, and he will never compromise on that integrity. So Nagi, it's been a great privilege for me to have this opportunity to introduce you, and thank you very much.
We would like to thank Dr. Ajay Kumar to accept our request. He himself is chairman and HOD of the gastroenterology and hepatology at VLK Super Specialty Hospital in New Delhi. He's a renowned clinician and a skilled therapeutic endoscopist with more than 30 years of clinical experience. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our request. And I would like to mention Dr. Reddy's assistant, I would say, Satyanarayana. He really has helped us put this act together. And I would like to share some of the pictures which, we've sort of tried to steal from maybe from your laptop or computer. I don't know, but this is what he's shared with me. And this is what we know sir as, of course. But do we know him from his childhood? These are some of his memories that we are trying to share out here. Some more of the black and whites. And of course, the family. Further in color, the next generation and the next generation, the extended family. And of course, then the pride, the Indian awards, international awards, and then excellence in, of course, endoscopy and other procedures, but also in education, social service, and then really taking us on the map of the world. That's Dr. D. N. Reddy, sir, for us. I'm sorry for stuttering, but we would really want you to address us with your keynote address. We're really looking forward to it, sir.
Thank you, Rajeshri. Thanks a lot. It was a very pleasant surprise to have Ajay. Ajay is not only my closest friend, but somebody I admire a lot as a human being. So to get him to come on and talk about me has been, I think, for me, it's a fantastic experience. Also, I'd like to thank you for giving me this opportunity. I knew R.S. Gadgil a little in the early phase of my career. He was the person who would be, I think, somebody who had so much energy, was always very positive, and every time we met, we would talk about the next academic session or some meeting that we could organize. It was such a great experience actually being with him. And I think, Rajesh, you are continuing the same tradition extremely glad that you started this, and I'm humbled to be part of this meeting, especially because I think we just heard two great talks by Sanjay Desai and Shailesh. I think both of them have not only contributed immensely in their field, but have been great ambassadors for our country. Uh, Coming to what I'm going to actually talk about is, I think, basically, I don't know whether it could be called a keynote address, but it's just a thought process that I had of what we should think of as a clinician to be beyond a clinician. Because all of us, when we finish our medicine, then go into our subject of interest, we develop a passion for certain areas. Like I developed a passion for endoscopy and work on that. But I think just being a clinician or a technician doing these things for patients may not be enough uh, to actually excel and have the wisdom to do something for our people in general. So let me start my journey a little. I don't want to bore you too much, but just to say that I did my MBBS in an obscure place. Actually, very few people know about this, Kannur Medical College. I graduated from there and went to do my medicine, internal medicine, Madras Medical College. Three things happened at that time, which are significant, so I should mention that. First, I met my wife, Carol, there, and of course, one of the best decisions that we did was getting married, and we continued to stay that way. Uh, then I developed an interest in gastroenterology because at that time hepatitis B virus had come, and I was fascinated by that. Dr. Bloomberg, who won the Nobel Prize for discovering this virus, actually had come visited at that time in Chennai, and it was fascinating to see what he was doing. So I got interested into gastroenterology, and of course, I also was actually a colleague or a postgraduate with Mohan Vishwanathan, which was again a significant influence because you can see that Mohan's at that time, even at that time, was starting to publish a lot, and I realized the importance of publications in whatever you do. I then went to do my DM at the Postgraduate Institute of Medical Education Research in Chandigarh. At that point of time, my interest in gastroenterology shifted from hepatology to endoscopy, largely influenced by charismatic leader, Dr. Jang Dilavari. You saw his picture previously. So this is how my journey evolved. And then I came back to Hyderabad in 1984, joined an institute called Nizam's Institute of Medical Sciences, which is still the leading government institution in our state. Of course, endoscopy was still very primitive, and you can see here the scopes were very thick. We didn't have proper, and this was actually the governor of our state at that time, Mrs. Joshi, and I was trying to show a lesion in a patient, and you can see how I had to take off, and she had to look through this, and I don't even know whether actually she saw what I was seeing. So you see, it was a relatively primitive field when I entered into endoscopy about 35 years back. But I knew at that point of time that my passion was for endoscopy mainly because I had a good hand-eye coordination, and I realized that this is a job I could do well. So that's how I got full-time into this. I was working in a small clinic called the Medinova, where we had an outpatient clinic with few beds, and we're doing ambulatory endoscopy procedure. Very, very primitive at that stage. It was that point of time that something happened that changed. My colleague, Dr. G.B. Rao, and myself were actually practicing at that time. And what happened was, in this surrounding state, there was a chief minister's wife had stones in the common bile duct following laparoscopic cholecystectomy. Middle of the night, I was called to do an ERCP in her, so I had to flow. In fact, he said he sent his chartered flight, so I had to flew there to his city and did a emergency ERCP at 12 o'clock in the night, and then removed the CBD stone. He was so fascinated with this that the chief minister said, "Why don't you come and set up a big institute in our state? We'll give you everything." I said, "No, can you help me out doing something in our state in Hyderabad, because that is where I want to settle." So he had this building which was meant to be a hotel. One of his, I think, known to him had this, and he said, "Okay, I'll do this. I'll help you out. Will give you." Actually, it was given on just like a donation to us. This whole building of 300 rooms. So he said, "Okay, you can start your institute there if you want, and we'll help you with that." So that is how it was. It was actually a lot of luck. I think it's also important to realize that we've heard the previous talks. A lot of excellence comes because of hard work, training, and all. I agree with all that. But I think there's a lot of luck or chance involved. In many phases of your life, you tend to get lucky at the part of your time, and then You have to grab these opportunities. Whenever you get a chance, grab the opportunities, because this is what will make a difference eventually in your journey. It has small steps, but ultimately it leads to your ultimate place where you want to be. So we started this institute, 300 beds. At that time, they said, how can you have an institute of gastroenterology? There won't be enough patients for that, 300 beds, how are you going to fill up and all that? But what we did was, we were very clear in our vision before. We decided that we will have 3 pillars on this institute would come up with: clinical service, research training, and community service. These are the 3 pillars. So we had actually a huge thing written up on mission service in our institute of service with compassion, academic excellence, and research and training. This was all over the institute page, so that you sort of feel this whenever you enter into the hospital. We started with a small number, just was me, GB Rao to start with initially, then rest joined. Ultimately, in a few years' time, we developed a large number of medical, surgical, and you can see pathology, all related to gastroenterology. And of course, we had a total of about 1,000 employees in this place, which was, I think, at that point of time, reaching its peak. So a typical day was like this. Very crowded it was. We used to see, thousands of patients in different ways, outpatients, inpatients. And sometimes it was very difficult to step into our institute because of so many numbers of patients. And I think people who told us, why do you want to start a separate institute of gastroenterology, now actually realize that what they said was absolutely wrong, because if you see the numbers at that point of time. So about a few years back, actually, there was a lot of analysis done. In fact, there was a dissertation on why AAG was successful, and what the conclusion on this was that gastroenterology was actually an allied specialty, which is an untapped market. You had oncology institutes, you had cardiac institutes, but never a gastroenterology. So this was the initiative which actually clicked because of that. It was a one-stop destination for all GI related. We had high patient volumes. We had full-time salary staff, and like Ajay was mentioning, from the beginning, our goal has been to give affordable care. So a lot of people actually used to criticize me, saying you're getting down the rates of endoscopy, getting down the rates of ERCP. What you should do is to set a bar, and you should not come down. But we decided from the beginning that we should try and give affordable care. We'll have large numbers. Sometimes you have to work extra hard to make the same money, but it's worthwhile, because that was very important. We, of course, had all under one roof, all types of gastrointestinal treatments under one roof. And we decided that the most important thing was to establish a trust of faith among the patients. So patient came first. This was the slogan we again had throughout the hospital, that patient comes first. So we started building up our practice with this. It was, like I said, it was predominantly a full-time job. No doctors were allowed to practice. All of us were salaried. It was very transparent who got how much, and this was based on seniority and so on. We started to increase the outpatient. We started to do a lot of endoscopy procedures. And again, like what Ajay said, we were known for endoscopy. We started introducing many of the procedures for the first time. And of course, this grew very rapidly. And our passion was that whatever instrument or new technology that comes to Asia, we should get it first in our center before it goes anywhere else. And fortunately for us, we could do this because we developed a deep liaison with the manufacturers. They would first try out the instruments with us, and then it would come out commercially. So we were, in that sense, the leaders, because many of these things came out first to us. Of course, it was important to establish a very nice library, training systems, and so on. And of course, the second lesson we learned, very important, was that it is very difficult to produce very large volume, good papers in good journals just by ourselves in a single institute. What people were looking at was multicentric studies. And unfortunately, in our country, we don't have the experience for these multicentric studies. So we started collaborating with a lot of international universities, and most of our publications then later on became a part of this collaboration. We realized that if you want to really produce high quality papers, share your experience to international audience who value it, then it has to be through this multi-center studies. And this is what we could do very successfully. We, of course, invested in technology, and this was the first human robotic system that we developed with the Singapore engineers who were working with us. We started using other allied sciences to help us, and this is how we developed a lot of support from ISRO. I'll come to show some of the support later on, but we were very closely associated with Vishro, which helped us. We started developing robotic methods, and of course, it was another important thing that we realized that in our country there are many institutions which have high quality other sciences, IITs and Indian Institute of Sciences. So we developed a deep collaboration with them, and again, a lot of our projects are coming in collaboration with them. We developed again something that is not very common in most of our hospitals, a center of innovation and engineering. So we have actually engineering faculty as a part of our hospital staff. If any staff member gets an idea of a device and so on, he just has to go. We have a workshop in the hospital where he can make this device, try it out in the animal lab, which we have below, and then can come to clinical work. So the whole thing forms a tight circle within the hospital so that we can innovate and, of course, get very quickly to what we're thinking about with this methodology that we started using. So we started, for example, along with Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, developed this endoscopy simulator, which the cost has come down markedly. It's just costing a few thousands compared to the actual cost, which is very high. We had several brand ambassadors who helped us propagating this institute, and that also becomes very important. And of course, we started innovating in terms of doing many of these things for the first time. Of course, I think when you do all this, when you have a very competent team with you, the awards follow. But what was very important, we realized very early on that, again, you can do a lot of excellent clinical work. You can be also very good technically yourself, but unless you have a translational research unit with you, we can't translate many of our ideas into reality. So what we did very early on is we created this Asian Institute of Basic Science and Translational Research, where we got PhDs in molecular biology and so on to come together. In fact, this is not very expensive in our country. You just have to give them a little space, and then they come together, and then we created this Translational Research Center, which was recognized by DSR. So we got a lot of funding from Department of Biotechnology, ICMR. We have Wellcome Trust, Hemsley Trust, all of them funding us. In fact, this is an advice that I'd give to people who are developing institutions, the younger generation, that think of translational research. It's not very expensive because there are very high-end people available at very low cost in our country. And most of this can be supported by Department of Biotechnology and Department of Science of India. They are actually looking for centers who can do this. So we actually latched on to this, got a lot of funding, so we could do a lot of research based on that. And you can see that we had collaboration with many international institutions. This resulted in a large number of basic science papers that we've come out with. And this is also very exciting research because, for example, chronic pancreatitis in India, we never knew what was the cause. The tropical pancreatitis, cassava was given to this and so on. And as Dr. Mathur is also one of the eminent leaders in this field, will tell us that sometime back it was thought that it was malnutrition and so on, and people are getting operated for that. We realized that what was causing this was actually a genetic mutation. We discovered the gene for this, the SPINK1 mutation, which has been widely published everywhere. And this again, I think, gives us a satisfaction that we did work in areas with these new discoveries. I think you get a satisfaction that something is coming out. Similarly, another area where we've been working is islet cell transplantation. We have ability now to isolate the islets and then put them back through the portal vein or hepatic artery, especially in type 1 diabetics. But now we're starting to thinking about doing it in type 3 also, and already started working on that. So this is a publication in a very high impact journal where we showed that using encapsulated islets put into non-hamate primates, you can actually do even heterozygous transplantation. So this is, again, as I said, a lot of satisfaction you get by this. Almost everything funded by basic science department from the Department of Biotechnology. And again, I think all clinicians should think beyond being a clinician into translating some of this and getting translational sciences into your practice. This, of course, the consequence again is the several papers that many of our colleagues could publish in very high impact journals, several international textbooks that we could contribute. And one of the things that we have done very early on, and which again is something I think is very important for all hospitals, is to start this biobanking. Every tissue that comes out in AIG, either surgery, endoscopy, and so on, is biobanked. We put that, depending on what you want to do, it's either in -80 or -190 because you want to do DNA work or RNA work and so on. All is biobanked, archived, along with a along with an archiving center in Oxford University, we got this knowledge how to this should be done. Everything is biobanked in our institute. This is very important because 10 years down the line, if you want to get tissues to see what is happening, new discoveries, I think you can always retrieve this tissue and then work on it. So this is, I think, something that we emphasize. The third pillar of what we're doing is community service. In fact, one of the things, unfortunately, in our country is that although we build these tertiary care centers, we do a great job in the cities. Most of our patients, 70% of them are in rural areas. They don't have access to medical care. So what we thought was we should launch this community service centers. It was done some years back, about almost 10 years. Here we took the help of ISRO, where having this satellite on top of our hospital, we could communicate with every part of our state by this satellite communication. Now it's, of course, we have so many other things, but this was 10 years back. We didn't have this technology, but fortunately ISRO gave us, and we built these vans which are self-sufficient. We go to distant villages, set up camps where our people would see the patients, and then of course we do all these procedures in this camp: endoscopy, ultrasound, colonoscopy, gather a huge amount of epidemiological data. And of course, they're very grateful patients. But as you can see, typically a van like this is in the village. This is a process continuing for a very, very long time. We have actually finished treating now about 1 crore people with this in our state. You can see this is a very successful, low-cost way of reaching out to people. And of course, you earn the gratitude of the people. You can see endoscopy being done through the telemedicine van comes to our department. By sitting here, one of us can actually view what's happening and tell the junior doctors they're doing endoscopy what can be done. This again is an experience which has been fantastic, and you can see a lot of publications that came from that. And this model is being duplicated in Kenya, Indonesia, and several other countries based on what we did. And sometimes sometimes it was difficult. In fact, this was villages cut off by surrounding water. We couldn't reach there. We had to take all our equipment on raft here. And when you reach the village, you see this very eager patients are waiting for us. No doctor has visited them for several years. So I've been asked, why are you doing this? Why this mobile endoscopy units, and how is the economic model? I think the economic model is very simple. When you do something good, you get a lot of donors, the industry supports, there's been private donors and so on. But I think more important than all this is collection of course, epidemiological data, delivering cost-effective care to our patients, and a tremendous amount of staff satisfaction. Our staff are going to do this. They are extremely satisfied with what they're doing. So at this point of time, about a few years back, our chief minister then came to our clinic, and he was surprised to see so many people standing there. He couldn't walk into the old hospital very freely. So he said, why don't you start a world-class hospital? I'll give you this land, about 10 acres of land in a prime place in Hyderabad. I mean, I told him, we can't do a world-class hospital, but probably we'll do something which is world-class in terms of our specialty in gastroenterology. So we started building this. You can see very long back, it took us a long time to break the stone and then create the base. And then over a period of time, you can see from where we started building this, again, a lot of help from friends, donors, banks, everything to build this institution, which is the AIG hospitals now. And you can see as this institution is coming up, in the background, you can see a lot of high-rise building. This whole area has been transformed completely into the Neo Hyderabad, which is actually something you can't recognize when you see immediately. And so we built 2 blocks. The one on the left is the clinical block. One on the right is the research block, purely devoted to, we have about 45 scientists, PhD, basic scientists working there. And this is the full hospital. We got, of course, because we had this knowledge of how this could be built, we built it up into a very modern unit, having everything that's needed in a modern hospital. And not only this, we've had, I think, we're fortunate in having a lot of artists donating their art to us. So you can see a sort of art in this thing. We concentrated, of course, on our main interest, that is endoscopy. And I've been telling, in fact, I told the chief minister at that time, my aim in life is to build the best endoscopy center in the world. And I believe we achieved it. And Ajay would agree with me. In fact, Ajay has been here several times, that the endoscopy unit that we built, anybody who comes anywhere in the world would come and say, okay, we want to do something like this. You can see real state-of-art endoscopy. We have about 30 endoscopy suites. We have, of course, the training lab. This is the animal training lab in the basement, which I feel is important. All hospitals should have training centers where junior doctors can be trained. And this has been very fruitful to us. Over 1,000 gastroenterologists have been trained in endoscopic procedures, new technology, and so on. animal labs. We have, of course, the state-of-art studio. This has been built to us by CNN, where we can transmit all the procedures into one studio, and from there a single person can operate or transmit it to any part of the world. An auditorium to support this. And one of the important lessons I learned building this during the whole journey is that human relationships are very important. It's very important to actually have a group of people who don't have too many egos coming together, thinking. And when you start thinking together, it's totally different when you start thinking alone. I think together we are strength compared to when you're alone. And this is very obvious. We meet very often, all of us discuss things. And this is, again, resulted in many world congresses that we've been participated in. In fact, we're able to get the first World Congress of Endoscopy into our country. And again, for me, this is a humbling experience that somebody, a small town boy coming from Kurnool Medical College, unknown city, went up to become the president of the World Endoscopy Organization. And of course, you can see the president of the European organization, American organization, Japanese, all coming under the umbrella of the World Endoscopy Organization. This was the peak of the achievement for me. And of course, the Schindler Award, which has been given, never been given to anybody outside America for last 60 years, was given this year. So this again is a reflection not to me, but I think to all the colleagues, all our endoscopists in our country on the transformation of what happened. Of course, I took you to this road, which is a long journey that happened. It was, I think, again, like Shailesh was saying, that something doesn't come overnight. You have to do 20 or 30 years of hard work before you become known. Our destination is still not known. We don't know how long it will take, but hopefully we should continue with this journey as long as we go. And finally, again, all of this, what I showed you, has been achieved not by a single person, but a team. We have a great team of people working with us, and all together, working together, have put this together. And again, I'd like to thank Rajeshri for this very kind invitation.
I would just want to say one thing, is you're really reflected what my father, R.S. Gadgil, wanted to actually bring together in the, when he wanted to have this wisdom forum together. So that, just as you said, not just discussions, but more of coming together and taking things to the next level is what, he always would, he was a visionary in his field. So he would always keep talking. I think Dr. Shailesh did mention Dr. Ramamurthy earlier. And I still remember when we lost Dr. Ramamurthy, and when we got the call that he's no more, Dad was extremely saddened, and he said, years where we should have preserved his wisdom together. But of course, he has taught so many students like Dr. Shikhande that this is exactly what this Wisdom and Excellence Initiative is trying to do. And it's very kind of you to actually be with us today and accept this award. And who else but we would want to have Dr. S.K. Mathur with us to present the award. And I believe, sir, your wife is also here, Madam Reddy. So I think we'll also try to add her to the screen.
I know that she can come on to the video.
Oh, yes.
She's there, yeah.
It's a pleasure to have you with us, ma'am.
Thank you.
Well, I would request Dr. S.K. Mathur to present the award and say a few words.
Nagi, I'm too small a person to present an award to a person like you. You are an institution by yourself. What you showed is how to amalgamate the business model. I'm using the word business because that's what it becomes. But I know that your business is with a passion, and the passion is for the poor. It's not a business model which you have created. It's a business model to earn the profit to grow like $1 million or $1 billion. So I'm using the word in a different way for you. It's a business model with passion. In the medical field in India, unknown, because what you have created is an institution which often we see in our country only like PGMI or the AIMS. something similar to that, something similar to or better than that, what you have created, an institution of excellence where you treat the patient as well as do the innovative research. It's not research which is reproduction of what others have done. It is basically a newer thing. And again, making it at a low cost model, as a low cost model. And that's what is excellent about the whole project which you have embarked since uh, 88 onwards and what you have taken it to this height. I may not agree with you that yes, there's a part truth that you have to be at the right place and the right time and the right opportunity. But I think all that it gets created when we say there is a third power which controls. And that should be kind to us. I'm sure the God has been definitely kinder to you, not because he wanted to be kind to you, because you forced him to be kind. Your actions, which were pure. See, I believe in this. Sanjay quoted Vedas in the beginning, and I said it is very close to my heart, that topic. It is vibes we created around us, our intentions, what we do a thing. If they are pure, the things fall together. Things fall together. Opportunities get created and things happen. So what you had that night when you had to travel to another state to do something, okay, that therapeutic endoscopy procedure was a God gift to you for your something which was going on in mind you want to create, but you were not getting the opportunity. Anyway, not everyone can do this type of thing, and the teamwork. I have seen that the way you have carried your colleagues, not only in the medical field, but the surgeons. And being a surgeon, I know that surgeons have got big egos. Okay, to keep them as a part of the team for such a long period, it's an art. So I admire you for that, to keep the whole team together, because I know most of them are working for you for so many years and work according to your interest. That's what is important. So once again, congratulations, not only for getting this award, but for whatever you have achieved so far. And I'm sure that you will achieve much more than this. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you very much, sir, for those very kind words. Coming from you, it's very important for me. And as you say, that we'll continue to work, hopefully, as far as we can. Thank you very much.
Well, on this panel, of course, I would like to bring in one more god. I would say one god is already there, Dr. D.N. Reddy, and then we have Dr. V. Mohan. If we could add him to the panel while the award is being presented, please. Bear with us.
Sure.
Well, I think a lot that's familiar between the two. We are very happy to bring them together. And of course, the next award is going to be him. But Dr. Mohan, would you want to say a few words and then,
Absolutely, Rajshri. Nothing would give me greater pleasure than to talk about my long-term friend, right from my college days, Dr. Nagi Reddy. It's very interesting because Nagi and I joined Madras Medical College, the MD. I did my MBBS there. He did in Kurnool, and then we joined MD together in the year 1979. But strangely, I had a 2-year MD and he had a 3-year MD because I had finished my senior house agency. So I actually finished my MD 1 year ahead of him, although we were classmates. A very funny situation. It doesn't exist anymore. So during those 2 years, the first 2 years, we were actually classmates, and I could see the passion in Nagi at that time. Of course, I didn't know about his gastroenterology interest. I think that came slowly, little later. But of course, I knew of his interest in Carol, and I'm seeing Carol now, I think after 40 years. Hi, Carol. So that I knew. And but I knew he was brilliant, and I knew that, I mean, when the 1972, when he showed his MD that he was the best outgoing student, was a foregone conclusion. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And then, of course, his days in Chandigarh, where he was outstanding there, And then, of course, he carved this niche for himself. And this is an area which is not easy to establish. And to become the world's #1 in any particular specialty, it's not easy to become a Sachin Tendulkar or to become anything in any activity. To become the world's #1 and to stay there is not easy. And I don't think with any hesitation anyone would deny that Nagi Reddy is the world's top endoscopist in the whole world. There's no doubt. For the sheer experience, the sheer numbers he has done, I don't think you take 20 of his compatriots across the world and add their experience together, they will not be able to match Nagi. Now, what's very interesting is that despite all his, the time that he spends in doing clinical work, he has managed to do not only research, and usually a clinician will do some case series, 10 series, one case report, interesting case report. Most clinicians do that kind of research. He started doing cutting edge research. A clinician doing cutting edge research, collaborating with engineers, collaborating with basic scientists is something unheard of in the private sector. I think Dr. Mathur mentioned that in PGI and then AIMS, you have to do it because you're a teaching institution. But in a private institution, to do that, to set it up and to keep it going, and these are not just fads, one day you did it and the next day you gave it up. He continues to do that, and you saw his publications in some of the best journals in the world. So I don't think Nagi actually has a parallel in India, not only in gastroenterology, but in any specialty. And therefore, as a classmate, I'm extremely proud of him. I think his work is the best is yet to come, as we always say. And for Nagi, every few years he springs the next surprise and goes on to, he sets the bar higher and higher. That's something I'll be talking about in my talk, because excellence really has no limit. And therefore you keep, and Nagi, I think, would be the best example of that. And so Nagi, my very best wishes to you. I'm sure you're going to take this country to greater and greater heights, and the sky is not the limit at all for you. So from the bottom of my heart, my very best wishes and my heartiest congratulations. I'm one of your biggest fans, Nagi.
Thank you, Mohan. In fact, I was telling you, it's not that it's a mutual admiration society, but my interest in publications, research, and all started Mohan. In fact, we are together, and I've seen that already as an undergraduate, it published so much, and he just sit down in the class and keep writing papers, and then the clarity of thought. I think that's something that I realized was very important, and I keep quoting him always. I mean, not that he's here now, but always as somebody, the clinician who should think of publications, then this is very important. And of course, Mohan was one of the first ones who knew about me and Carol. That was also very important.
I knew Carol's father also. So,
Rajeshri, can I make a comment? Just. Hello, hi, sir. I'm Ashish Bhumkar. I'm an ENT surgeon from Thane. Completely mesmerized by your life. I mean, what you have presented, the glimpse. I did not know that the gastric lining has a brain tissue and, more importantly, a tissue for ambition. What an appetite for excellence, passion, and incredible. Hats off to you, sir. I had to say this. I was most touched to see this is sort of a vision that a clinician should have and translate it into a reality. It's incredible. Very, very inspirational.
Thank you, Ashish. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to try to be a little selfish out here by wanting to take a couple of minutes of yours before we move on to the next Elite Award. I want to showcase, of course, our website of TRUWELLTH Integrative Healthcare. This is an effort we are actually doing in holistic health care, and allow me to share that. That's TRUWELLTH, which is our initiative. I know I had a chance to share a little bit of it with Dr. D.N. Reddy a couple of years ago, but through the COVID pandemic, of course, this is something which, along with the world, even India has come to a realization that with clinical and surgical practice, we also need to have nutrition, mental health, and everything put together. So we are actually aspiring, of course, to be the world-class integrative healthcare and personalized nutrition clinics with, of course, online and offline booking on the website, along with sharing videos and programs from the authentic stalwarts. And we have been relentlessly doing this for the last 1.5 years now. And after that, of course, I would like to showcase these are different specialty areas, including, of course, surgery, pain management, nutrition, women health, and so many of them, IBS, obesity, where we are doing holistic work. And these are some of our panel doctors who are there. And of course, many are adding to it, trying to provide integrative healthcare to patients across the country. So I take the proud privilege to share that while you all are here with us. And of course, without wasting even a moment, we will go to the next award. And allow me to share the screen. We have the next god, like I said, Dr. V. Mohan, Padma Shri, Dr. V. Mohan. And Dr. Mohan is the chairman and consultant diabetologist at the Dr. Mohan's Diabetes Specialty Center. Dr. Mohan's Diabetes Specialty Center is an IDF center of excellence in diabetes care and has 50 centers across 8 states of India, having over 5 lakh registered patients.
How big?
Ranked amongst the top 0.4 scientists in the world and the top scientists in India in the field of endocrinology and metabolism. First Indian to receive the Dr. Harold Rifkin Distinguished International Service in the Cause of Diabetes Award by the American Diabetes Association for his extensive contribution in the field of diabetes. In 2012, Dr. Mohan was awarded Padma Shri, the 4th highest civilian award given by the Government of India. He's received the prestigious Dr. B.C. Roy National Award by the Medical Council, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Centenary Award from the ICMR, the highest award for the biomedical research in India. He has received over 180 awards. He has been conferred upon fellowships from all the 4 Royal College of Physicians, FRCP, that is, from London, Edinburgh, Glasgow, and Ireland, and all 3 Science Academies of India, including Fellowship of Indian National Science Academy. President and Director of Madras Diabetes Research Foundation, which is Asia's largest standalone diabetes research center. Dr. Mohan has published over 1,370 papers in peer-reviewed journals. This includes 900 original articles, 309 review articles, and invited editorials, and 170 chapters to textbooks on diabetes. His research has attracted over 142,000 citations and has an H index of 139. Dr. Mohan has trained a large number of physicians and diabetologists in addition to nurses, educators. Dr. Mohan's autobiography, Making Excellence a Habit, The Secret to Building a World-Class Health System in India, which was published recently by Penguin India, is already listed as a bestseller on Amazon India. With that, allow me to share a video on him. And a few more shares. Dr. Mohan in Nature's list of milestones advisors. Of course, the great award. And in the hands of another great God, I would say, few more photographs of his from the US. Some very special moments. We all know them. And of course, we remember him on the Father's Day. That's his father. And that's his daughter here. Wishing him, I think she wished him with this just today. So I stole that picture from his Facebook. And I would, on that note, want to call upon Dr. Anjana on the screen, on the panel, on the stage, to say a few words about her father. And he is like father, like daughter in diabetes practice and more. She's the managing director of Dr. Mohan's Diabetes Specialties Center. So
thank you so much, Rajshri. I'm so honored to be here. So, Papa, surprise and happy Father's Day. She asked me to introduce you. I initially refused. Then she convinced me that I had to be there. So I was going to be there anyway. So, and I just wanted to share, she asked me to share some less known things about you. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So a lot has been said about my father. He's a great entrepreneur. He's a great physician. He's a researcher, a lot of things. But I'm not sure if many people actually know that he's an athlete. And he was his school games captain. And till today, he has the record of being one of the fittest people. So he will tell you he bought this Apple Watch, and every day he has, you know, these goals to meet. And he just told me in the last 6 months, he's not even missed a single day of meeting any one of the goals that he's set for himself. So that's the person he is. He's also a very good singer. So he can sing very well. And he has a whole host of other talents and things that I think that as a daughter, I would know, but many of you may not know. So he's a very multifaceted personality. And there's a lot that can be said about, but in one word, if you kind of wanted to describe my father, the word would be passion. He's completely passionate about everything that he does, whether it is the smallest thing to the largest thing, whether he writes, whatever he does, you know, he puts his heart and soul into it, and that makes him who he is. So happy Father's Day, Papa, and to you and to all the wonderful fathers here. Thank you very much, Rajshri.
And with that, the floor is open to Dr. V. Mohan, sir, to speak, and we are really eagerly waiting to listen to you.
Thank you, Rajshri. I think it was a complete surprise for me. She told me that she has been asked to, so I didn't expect all this. And so thank you, Anjana. For so it's a great pleasure and honor for me to follow Shailesh and Nagi Reddy. I think the day has been made extra special because I think you turned the program around. Otherwise, I wouldn't have got to meet these people and to meet all my old friends as well. Lips are cracked a little bit. Okay, so can I share my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see it.
Can see it? Yeah. Okay. So Rajshri, what can I say? I mean, I have attended many. You said 180, probably more now, but you know, there are some awards which you don't forget easily, and I think this is going to be one of them, purely because everybody is speaking from the heart. And there is no agenda in this. See, when you wrote to me, of course, I knew your father well. I met him several times. He's a very good friend of my father. And I have met him several times. And I know his passion, how passionate he is about everything. So when something is being done in his name, there's no agenda involved. I mean, you're not trying to get anything from me, and I'm not going to try anything from you. So that makes this very special. And then the kind of people whom you select and the style with which you do it, I think I must congratulate you, and I'm sure this is a great seva and a great service that you're doing. The other thing is about awards is that And people call you for an award, you just go there, receive it, come down. Sometimes you're given 1 minute to respond. And then, of course, what can you say in 1 minute? And then you just say something and then come down, and the next person is already ready and they want to finish off the function quickly. Here, you're taking a whole day to give the awards. And I was wondering, I was admiring your energy from morning to night. You're doing nothing but giving awards to people and spending so much of time at such a leisurely pace. I think it is something amazing. And therefore, hats off to you. And of course, to follow Nagi is a very tall order. But since we have been together in so many things, I think I'll try to, I'm nowhere near him, but I'll try to show you my little part of my story after once again thanking you. And now I know a little bit more about TRUWELLTH, Integrative Health. Probably we should work together on some of these. So I've kind of taken a completely different kind of a stance in my presentation, because I thought instead of just saying, what I did, I'll bring it in here and there, I'll bring it in. But I thought I'll use my book as the basis for my talk, because my book has everything. It's my autobiography, actually. And it's become quite popular. So I thought, what are the learnings? Many people may not have seen the book. Instantly, Nagi, I think I'm going to send you one, and Rajshri and whoever else would like. I have lots of extra copies. I'll send you autographed copies. But why did I write this book? And it's not just an autobiography as such, but the title itself is Making Excellence a Habit. And so the first thing is, when you talk about it, what is excellence? Excellence is a quality of being outstanding or extremely good. You just can't be good. You have to be like Nagi. You have to be outstanding and extremely good. And when you're that, it will show. You don't have to. When Sachin Tendulkar, goes into bat, he doesn't have to say anything. And when Amitabh Bachchan goes onto the screen, you don't have to say anything. He's from the first movie that he acted till the last one. People will know who's this guy. Nobody doesn't know him. Will ask, who's this guy? He's outstanding. So it'll begin to show, and that is excellence. Not easy to achieve. But then, how to make it a habit? What's a habit? A settled or regularly tendency or practice, especially one that is hard to give up. So once you start aiming for it, there is no limit to it. See, the institution which Nagi had started was already so big. I haven't been to his new one, but I've been to his old one several times. And I know that itself was so big. From there to think of something so much bigger, that's a habit. And now what next will be the next question, because there's no end to it. And then I'm going to refer to that also. So when you make excellence a habit, that is something which I think everybody should try to do. Now, I didn't know this, and people should not think that I plagiarized this idea. I really didn't know it. And it was at the inaugural of one of my books. I had 2 or 3 inaugurations for my book. One of them said, what? Aristotle had said this much earlier, that making excellence a habit. I said, oh, did he? I never even thought of it. This is what Aristotle said. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. I had, the way I picked this title was, I was trying to find a name which is not already published. So every time I climbing ladder of excellence, something would have done. Excellence is something somebody would have done. I was working in Penguin and saying, what is the title? So one day when I hit this, Making Excellence Habit, they said, this is not there. So we'll grab this. So we grabbed this one. Later on, it's quite humbling to know that in 384 BC, Aristotle has already said what I'm going to say. And that is, excellence is not an act, but a habit. So let me try to share some of the chapters in my book, not all of them, but the magic of serendipity, and I think the 2 speakers before me mentioned it, and I think Nagi also mentioned it. Things don't happen just by chance, just by coincidence. There's always something which is meant to happen. It looks as if he mentioned the chief minister came and said, it is crowded. Now that is the thing to start something new. Now that meeting of that CM coming there was serendipity, and that serendipity leads to something else. And of course, you have to focus. Now, Nagi's case, he focused on endoscopy the whole time. He didn't one day do endoscopy, one day do hepatology, one day do pancreatology, one day do intestinal pathology. He didn't keep on changing. He kept focusing on one. Of course, pancreas is one of his big areas, but even in that he focused. Then the other thing is resilience. So many times, in life, you fall down. You must know how to get up. If you fall down 100 times, you must get up 101 times. That's a guy who will succeed. If the 3rd time you fall down and say, my life is misery, you're never going to make it. And of course, passion, and you did mention that. It is very important, because you're not passionate about something, you're not going to do that. Power of grit, again, to stick there. In fact, somebody who spoke about Nagi said that once he decides on something, he is not going to give it up. Now, that's the power of grit. Dare to dream big. So again, when we say we are going to build the biggest in the world, biggest in the thing, when I said this in that chapter, I mentioned that when I was in third year of MBBS, 4 of our classmates were all 4 are very big people now. We asked each other, what are you going to become? And one guy said, I'm going to become a big orthopedic surgeon. Another fellow said, I'm a thoracic surgeon. And somebody else something. I said, you know what? I'll have the maximum number of publications on diabetes in the whole world as a doctor. One of my friends told me, oh, don't have such ambitions. If you have such big ambition, somebody will stab you and you will die, because he's a very conservative guy. So he said, don't think like this. This is dangerous. This is too much ambition. I said, no, there's nothing wrong in trying. You may fail. And if you get killed in the process, it doesn't matter. But still, you must dare to dream big. We're not born in this world to do some mediocre things. We're born in this world to do big things. We have only one chance. Let's do it. Even if you fail, it doesn't matter. By sharing in your knowledge, you also grow in the process. Both the speakers before you and all the speakers today would have shared the thing. They didn't keep it to themselves. They kept it to themselves. They would never been able to share the knowledge, and they would not have grown in the process. Failure is never final. That's like the great thing I told you. Never let people discourage you. If you ask 5 people, 3 of them will tell you, come on, this is a crazy idea. You're never going to get this right. Ask again. And then somebody else will tell you, this is a brilliant idea, and then you do it. Harness the power of collaboration. I think Nagi beautifully showed it, and I'll also show it to you. Without collaboration, no man is an island. However great you are, you cannot succeed alone. Okay. Now, I started doing research when I was 19 actually, when I joined my father. 1 minute story about that. I would never even have taken medicine at all. I wanted to do English literature. I wanted to become a poet. But then my father left Stanley due to some political reasons, and he didn't have a future. He had not built his private practice. This is the kind of place he was having, and he had not done anything. And then I was the eldest son, and he called me and said, you have to do medicine. I said, no, Pa, I want to do, literature. I want to become a poet. I want to do PhD in English literature. That's my aim. And he said, no, you're the eldest son. You have to take up medicine. You have to help me. So I said, you know what? I can't be writing prescriptions. First of all, no surgery for me. I'm not a surgeon. Second, as a physician, keep on writing prescriptions all my life. I'll be bored to death. I can't even think about it, doing such a thing. What do you want to do? He said. I said, I want to write. So I want to do research, So then he said, yeah, we'll do it. I said, you have to build it for me. And I can't wait till I am finished my MBBS and MD and all. I'm itching to go now. So you have to start something for me. So 1972 itself, 50 years ago, we had a small car shed. That car shed was all cleaned up. We put some animals there. We bought, all mice and, thing and all. Then we hired one part-time technician. And then after that, we hired a PhD also. And I started doing actual animal research experiments, even before I started doing anatomy physiology. So only after that, I was going to anatomy physiology. By the time we're already doing these experiments, that is my main interest. MBBS is only a side interest for me at that particular time. And that's beautifully described in my book. So therefore, but for my father, I don't think anything is there. So the first tribute I'd like to pay is to my father. He started the first diabetic clinic in India in 1948. 47, he got independent 48. So the first, in post-independent India, the first diabetic clinic was started in Chennai at the Stanley Medical College. And even there, he was doing good research. In 1950s and 60s, he was a clinician, but a teacher, but also he was doing research. And unfortunately, he had to leave early. And if that serendipity had not occurred, if he had continued in Stanley for another 10 years, I would have been an English literature professor. I wouldn't have taken it out. That's what I'm saying. Serendipity plays such a big, important thing in my life. That's me as a 17, 18-year-old and little older with my father when I started my research. Both experimental as well as clinical research we started. And then when I came to third year, Professor Lalita Kameswaran, whom I'm sure many of you know, she became the first vice chancellor of a university. She was a professor of pharmacology. She was a DME and very well known nationally and internationally. She saw my interest and she said, Mohan, it looks like you really have a passion. Do you want to open up our animal house? There was a dilapidated animal house with all dogs or half dead dogs and nobody to care for them. She said, you'll have to clean it up. You'll have to pay for it. You'll have to get a technician. You'll have to give them food. You do all that. Then you can, take the animal house. I said, I want to do some experimental work on pancreas, do subtotal pancreatectomy, do this, do that, produce diabetes in dogs. So my third year, fourth year, almost half of my final year went in doing that. I completely forgot I had exams, I had this, I had that. So I was somehow passing and doing and getting some medals and all going. But my main focus was on doing research on diabetes because I wanted to do research on like Banting and Best. I was so inspired by them that I wanted to continue. And I think another big tribute to her. And then I told her at that time when I was doing third year, Madam, you know what? The day I finish my MD, I'll come straight from the university and register for PhD. I'll bring the form and I'll come and do PhD with you. Exactly, I did that. I got the gold medal in the university, went to the PhD department. From there itself, got the thing, went straight, I didn't go home. I went to Madras Medical College, said, Madam, come with the form. No, fill it up. I'm going to do my PhD. From there, I did my PhD under her, and she continued to guide me till she lived. And that's one of my first experiments with her. 1978, it was published. It took 3 years to publish in Indian Journal of Pharmacology. But as a student, as a third-year student, I did experimental work on dogs, hypoglycemic effect of glibenclamide, penformin. Nobody had ever done that. Two different drugs, using that. And all these came, of course, because my father was also helping me. Now, these Nagi mentioned this, but as an undergraduate student, I thought the first thing I do is to publish. So 72, I started my anatomy physiology. By 74, 75, you'll find a strange thing. You'll find me as a last author and everything. Okay. My father said, you don't have a degree. How can I give you first authorship when you don't have a degree? Very strange reasoning it was. So he would be first, and he said, we'll go according to age. You are the youngest, you will be the last. So I am the oldest, I am the first. So he followed that principle. My father says something, you can't say anything. So you'll find I am last author in everything, although I did all the work. Later on, I used to tell him, Papa, the junior most guy is the first author, not the other way around, So, but this is how it was. Only Lalita Kameshwaran's paper, you'll see she has put me as first. So she said, hey, you have to be the first author. So she made me the first author here. You can see when I came to her, she made me the first author. So it went on. And so by 79 and by 80, 81, I had finished my, my MD. By that time, I had almost 30 odd publications. That was fairly good ones because we are not used to publishing in top journals at that time because nobody had trained us, all self-taught. I didn't have a single teacher in research. Everything self-taught, statistics was self-taught, everything was self-taught. So that's all we could do as an undergraduate and as a postgraduate student. But it's a kind of record of sorts. Now let me go to the MDRF model, the Madras Diabetes Research Foundation model. When we wanted to start a separate research foundation, the separate building and all, people said, you'll never be able to do that. How will you ever sustain it? But then my wife, my late wife, was also my classmate. She was also the head of our ophthalmology department. She was also a managing director before she passed away, and my daughter took over from her. She's the one who supported me and all my ambitions. Whatever I said, she said, yes, you do it. We are here. It will definitely, you have thought about it, we will do it together. And I think it's due to her that the second half of my life, I left my father actually in 91 and started on my own. But I had too early a start with him. And then by 91, my ambitions were much bigger. So I had to leave and then start. And that's when empty-handed. When I left my father, he said, leave without anything. If you're really smart, do it without even 1 rupee. So I left just with a stethoscope. And now, of course, we have the third generation. I already met my daughter, Anjana, and my son-in-law, Ranjit. I have only one daughter. And they continue to be their third generation diabetologists. Very unusual for a family to have 3 generations of people in the same specialty. And this is probably one of the few families. I hope this guy is the 4th generation. He's my grandson, although I'm not going to put any pressure on him. I was putting my slides and I was removing it. And he said, you put everyone else's, you dare not remove mine, he said. So I had to keep his picture. And that's, of course, my whole team. And, but for my team, I won't name all of them, but I have a multidisciplinary team. I have genetics people, I have nutritionists, I have ophthalmologists, I have clinical trialists, I have epidemiologists, food and nutrition research, translational research, which Nagi mentioned, and various other scientists, vascular biology, immunology. They're all together and they're all senior scientists now. They're all holding different grants. Now, how did I start that also? That's one of my stories. Start small and build big. So you start in a single room. You can see there's another room. The first one I showed you is my father's place. When I started here in 1996, building this, we start in a single room. You can see the kind of room that we had. From there, we went to this whole building. And when Dr. N.K. Ganguly inaugurated that, he said, Mohan, I understand your passion, but you think really, why don't you make 2 floors into some hospital beds and get some income? I said, sir, we are going to outgrow this. Few years later, he came and inaugurated this 40,000 square feet, 6.5 acre campus in Siriseri. He was DG then and he was DG then here also. So he said, as a DG of ICMR, I have not inaugurated 2 institutes of the same place during one tenureship of a DG. And then, of course, now we have 3 or 4 other institutes as well. And here's all about collaboration. WHO, IDF, ICMR, DST, DBT, Madras University, Tamil Nadu University, Deakin University, University of Warwick. Our students can work in Chennai and get their PhD from any of these places, from Melbourne, from Warwick. They can work here. They don't have to go there at all, but they'll get the PhD from that particular degree. And of course, this is the total number now. The numbers have been updated a little bit now. So it's 1,411, and those are the citations. We have papers in Nature, New England Journal, Lancet, Nature Medicine, Cell, Nature Genetics, and many other. Name any top, the top 25 journals in diabetes, if you name, we have at least 4 or 5, if not 40, 50 in each of those journals. And university collaborations are University of Dundee, Imperial College London, McMaster University, Canada, California, Harvard, Emory, Deakin, Moorfields Eye Hospital, Warwick, and many others. And so I entirely agree with Nagi that unless you have international collaboration, you cannot increase the width or the depth of your research. You can do to a certain extent, but each one, for example, the Harvard School of Public Health is the world's nutrition, it's a god of nutrition sitting there, Walt Willett. They're all close collaborators of ours. And of course, Indian universities are also very important, right? From Shankar Nethralaya to AIMS, to PIMS, to PGI Chandigarh, to Chitra Tirunal, to MS Ramaiah, St. John's, Indian Institute of Science, and many others. So just finishing off the last 3 or 4 slides. So if you achieve the greater good through empowerment, we heard Nagi talk about public, involving the public. That's what we have done through our rural outreach services, exactly like what he has done. 2 or 3 other rules. Once you make a promise, never break it. There is no substitute for hard work. Start small and then take big steps. And that's a snowball effect. Just to rush through this, start in a rented clinic, my own story. Then take the next building, then the next building, then branches outside. Today we have so many branches. Research, start in single room, then separate building, then next one, now in 4 locations. 25 scientists and 25 PhD students we have right now. And then mentorship. We started with just in-house fellowship program. Then we collaborated with the Public Health Foundation of India, started the world's largest education course, CCBDM, then many other courses, and now with other universities, 16,000 physicians trained. And epidemiology, we started with first clinical work, then epidemiology only in small part of Chennai, whole India, and now 25 countries in 5 continents, and many other collaborations. Team building, obviously very important, importance of combining entrepreneurship with ethics and empathy. I think that's exactly what Nagi also talked about. Finally, there is no limit to human endeavor. And Abhi Bekela won the Olympics marathon not once but 3 times. And after he later on had a car accident and became paralyzed, he sat in his wheelchair and became an archery champion. There is absolutely no limit to human endeavor. And excellence is like a mirage. You think you have achieved excellence and then it's moved on. And you think you have set a bar for yourself, and that bar you have to keep on raising. That is real excellence. If you're a true leader or visionary, you have to keep constantly raising the bar. So the take-home messages are: practice excellence in everything you do, small or big. Slowly, excellence will become a habit. I want to end with this quote by Jagdish Chandra Bose, who said, "When one dedicates himself wholly for a great object or cause, the closed doors shall open." He didn't say it may open. He said it shall open, and the seemingly impossible will become possible for him. So on that note, Jai Hind. I'm sure a lot of great things can be done in this country. All we need is to have a good team, believe in our people, give them all the the leeway to think, and bring in people who are smarter than yourself. Don't think we are the smartest, but bring in people who are smarter than ourselves. Then our institution will grow. You have to decide early in life whether you want to be known as an individual or your institution has to be known. You build an institution, your legacy will live on forever. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. It is absolutely, we are deeply honored, and I'm very happy for you to have come here recognizing my honest request, just as you said, and this is really going to be deeply embedded in our memories for a very, very long time. And your last sentence where you said building an organization which will mean that the legacy will continue for a long, long time. That's such a learning that I'm actually taking with me. Of course, I'm living it with my father's legacy. But on that note, actually, I'll again request Dr. S.K. Mathur to come and say a few words and, of course, present the award for the RSG Wisdom and Excellence Award to Dr. V. Mohan. It's an honor, absolutely.
Dr. Mohan, you left me speechless. I was just wondering, the passion for the research is starting when you were in the school, even before you enter the medical school, and what you achieved through that. Starting from a research in a garage to creating a new institution, not one, two, three. And your passion for writing. You said that you wanted to become literary man, basically for writing purpose. Okay. But I think you achieved that goal as well as the scientific goal, both research and writing, both passions you have fulfilled. I think your life should be an example to the young generation of today who believes that you have to have a big institution to do the research. Most often they will say that, oh, I couldn't do the research, I can't do the research because I don't have this facility, I don't have that facility, I don't have this advanced technology available to me. But what you have shown is that if you have a will, if you have a determination, and you have a passion for something, you will achieve it and God will open those doors for you to go through that path. So hats off to you for whatever you have done. I'm saying that I'm short of words to express the appreciation for your work. Congratulations. And I'm sure that you will continue to do this type of thing and inspire the young generation, not just your family, not your daughter and son-in-law, but beyond that, it should be more publicized across the country. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Mathur, I'll take the cue from that and I will add as much as I can. We have all these visionaries with us, especially Dr. V. Mohan and Dr. D.N. Reddy with us. Their work has to propagate for generations and has to keep going as much as we can, as many people can spread. That should be the mission. It's thoroughly an honor to be in this frame right now. Unless Dr. Anjana wants to say anything.
Just to say thank you, and that was excellent as usual. And it's such an honor, like you said, to be in this frame.
And Dr. D.N. Reddy.
I think Mohan's journey is inspiration. I mean, like everybody else said about this frame part, I think for me it's an honor to be equated with Mohan. As I said, although I haven't told this to him personally or to anybody else, most of our journey has been trying to follow him. He's been one of the icons I try to always follow because, you see, when you start your career in MD, I went in Madras Medical College where Mohan was already well known. He was one of the persons who really inspired me into thinking about writing and research. Till that time, I never realized that there was this area where one should think about. 1,400 papers is, I mean, a world record. I don't think there are many people I know have this. But leave alone that, his style of thinking, the clarity of his thought, the way he puts them together on the paper and write, this is something I always try and think whether I can follow. And this whole journey of his, where he's created this research labs and all. In fact, I always tell some of my close colleagues, this has been our inspiration. This is how one should go. And I think he's created all this without creating this wealth for himself. It's just for the institution. And that's another great example. And I think, hopefully I'll get to read this autobiography. I'm looking forward to that. I'm sure this should be an inspiration for a lot of doctors around the country, young or old, to know what's happened and how this can happen in our country. Thank you for the opportunity.
I don't know if you can applaud on this note, but Dr. Anjana, I don't think we could have celebrated the Father's Day better than this.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's
Sorry, I'll just say
Go
one.
ahead. Please go ahead.
We've always known him to be the sugar man of India, but I want to say he's the Superman sugar man. Thank you, sir. It is incredible. I think what you have shown, and it's really salutations to you. For the Superman sugar man, that's the title through this I would like to bestow upon you.
Well, I can't keep thanking you more, sir, for being here, and both Dr. V. Mohan and Dr. D. N. Reddy. You have been so kind, and each of the dignitaries here, Dr. Sanjay Desai, Dr. Ram Prabhu, of course, Dr. S.K. Mathur, you all have been really kind, and the next award is going to be to Dr. Bumkar, who's won another gem. When we talk about fathers. I do not have my father, but he's always my fallback father, and probably my father was a fallback father to him. So I don't know. I think that's probably my introduction for him. But since I'll take this opportunity to introduce him. When I asked for his introduction, and one of his team members sent me the introduction, and we said, bear with me, and I said that I said this resume is rejected for you. It's too short, and he said, there's no resume. Whatever's done in history is history. Whatever I'm going to do ahead is what is me. So he's really known to be the father of external ear reconstruction and a pioneer in microtia, atresia surgery with hearing reconstruction. He's Master of Surgery in Ear, Nose, and Throat from BJ Medical College, Pune. He's practicing in Thane in his own hospital for the last 30 years. He's founder member of the International Society of Auricular Reconstruction, also known for his excellence in staple surgery and FESS surgery. He's the founder of ENT Academy, a medical trust teaching ENT surgeons, doing medical camps and conducting courses nationally and internationally. He's done the largest series of microtia, atresia repair surgeries in India and the South region. He's visiting ENT and microtia, atresia surgeon at Kazakhstan, Moscow, Dubai, Nepal. So he keeps globetrotting for it, and he was the honorary microtia, atresia, and ENT surgeon at the MT Agarwal Mulund Hospital. Excellence, as I say, is in his heart, mind, and soul. I've seen this man for many years now. It's 2 decades almost 3 decades that I've seen him. He's one person. Once you meet him, his excellence at its best. May it be surgery, diagnosis, clinical treatment, conferences, patient care. He's absolutely a living excellence example that I have seen. He and my father have spent some best times together. I'm hoping he's going to share some of them with us today. And on Father's Day and my father's 75th birth anniversary, I take the liberty to say that, really that when he and my father met, our families really got extended. And we had such loving times together. I'm sure I do want to mention his father, Papa, on this occasion of Father's Day. I'm sure we both miss our fathers a lot. So it is, of course, very emotional, he receiving this award today. And to us, he is our Santa, and I'm sure he's like that for many of his patients. And like I earlier said, he's my second parent, and of course, great family. So presenting him this award is beyond anything, but we are really eagerly waiting to hear from you, Dr. Ashish Bumkar, the excellence man that I have witnessed and I have been inspired by.
Thank you. Thank you, Rajeshri. Thank you. May I start?
Yes, yes.
For me, it's going to be a very informal. I haven't prepared slides. My biggest merit is that I'm a dear friend of Ramesh Gadgil. We met way back in 1993. But let me begin with this statement that today, what I consider as my biggest achievement on the Father's Day is to have been a very loving and caring father to my own son. And I think that has been the biggest so far. I don't know what future holds. And we're speaking of Gadgil sir, or Gadgil Saheb, I used to call him. We live in the same city. It's his 75th anniversary, and I can hear him say, Ashish, champagne good hai. So here is the champagne, and here is this to the man who lived life king size, who redefined what is king size. And I will allude to it a little bit later. Uh, this is about wisdom and excellence, and my first wisdom is that I have a long way to go. I'm not the wisest, and there is a lot to be learned and wisdom that life has to impart on me. I'm still a juvenile. I'm still very cherubically exuberant in my enthusiasm, with very little of wisdom, trying to suppress it. But I'm wise enough to know that I have to be wiser. This is where my definition of wisdom, of where I stand in life, starts. My definition of life, or the way I put life is but a short festival called life. If you start seeing life as a short festival, a lot of things start falling in place. One, that it is short and therefore it is finite. This is what puts a lot of things in perspective. And that it is a festival, that each day is to be celebrated for its entirety. And this allows you the spirit. We have living examples, the epitomes, what Nageshwar Reddy and Dr. Mohan, they have lived it. I'm just articulating it. Every day, every moment is what they have lived with, the passion and the sincerity and the honesty. More than 20 years back, I wrote my own obituary. The way I began it was, I wrote my own obituary, and it is very cathartic, it is very enlightening, and it simply said, dead and gone. This is what I wrote with my own hands, my own obituary. And this again gave the finiteness of life into perspective. It allows you to transcend pettiness. It allows you to transcend comparison. It allows you a lot of things, and brings to what Dr. Mohan said, focus. You don't have time to waste on trivial things in life. And was my technique of psyching myself into focus, and then deciding what is it that I really feel like doing. And to me, how does one identify? Everybody speaks about passion, but how does one identify what one is passionate about? So that which occupies your silent mind, to me, that is a path towards passion. If in my silent times, 8 out of 10 times I've been thinking of something, that is something which I'm passionate about. And I have a very, very natural, I would not call it unnatural, attraction to the difficult. And I will allude to this in my surgical milestones and the way I have nurtured my clinical practice of picking up the difficult things, which is where the microtia atresia came in, and I will refer to it towards the end. So I began with the principle of simplify and amplify. I do not have the entrepreneur skills which Nageshwar Reddy and Dr. Mohan have them in large, exuberant, effervescent quantities. But I have been more inwards in terms of trying to find the artist within me, how to transcend science into an art form, and how to transcend service, human service to the patient, also into an art form full of empathy. This has been the core of my journey. Simplicity and being ordinary are two very different things for me. Whereas I consider ordinariness in its glorious form and not allow oneself to get consumed by what one does, keeping a core which is simple allows you the purity of thought and therefore the purity of action. I like to tell my friends at a social, earn your death. You have to earn your death. And when I say that, I mean that you have to abuse every faculty of yours, that God or nature, whatever you believe in, to its fullest. Don't go to your grave in a well-preserved sense of body and mind and spirit. Use it, spend it to the best way that you can. And this is the way you earn your death. This has been my mantra, and this is how I live my life on a day-to-day basis. So don't go to your grave. Now, we spoke a lot about cosmic conspiracies and luck and serendipity. And this is where I come to my friend Ramesh Gadgil. In 1993, I was just 1.5 years into my practice. And we were going to do the Silver Jubilee Conference of ENT of the Maharashtra state, and I had chosen to be the secretary. Just 1.5 years, I knew nothing about organizing events, and we made a small team of the ENT surgeons. And the USV office was in Poonam Chambers at that time. We did not even know USV as a company. This was a fact because they only had Visionaries at that point of time, which again was not written by the ENTs. But there was a company which I forget on a floor higher than the floor. I think USV was on fourth floor, and there was a company which we went, four of us or five of us ENTs, we went to that. We were shooed away. Honestly, the experience when you go to a pharma head office is very different from typically when they come to you for their calls to your chamber. And then we simply walked down because I had seen another company, the USV company, when the lift was going up. I said, let's go in there. And I clearly remember asking my senior, what product does this company make? He said they make Viceneral. Now, this is where luck comes in. This is where cosmic forces come in. We are talking to the receptionist and we are saying we are doctors from Thane. And she says, no, do you have an appointment? I said, no, we could meet anybody who's willing to meet us. And she says, no, you have to come in with an appointment. And this great man walks in. And as luck would have it, the door of his grand cabin was open precisely at the time when we were saying we are doctors from Thane. And he said, who are these doctors from Thane? And he walked out and he saw the senior man to whom he used to make a call. Are sir? And he called us inside. We didn't have an appointment. We did not know him. Just because we are doctors from Thane, he greeted us inside. He barely gave us 5 or 7 minutes, but he was laughing. And later on, I decoded that laughter because I was very enthusiastically trying to tell him that this is going to be a Nobel winning conference, or it's going to change the world, because that was the conviction and belief with which I was doing the conference. I thought I'm good. So he was just laughing, smiling, and he says, let's meet in Thane over dinner. And we met there over dinner, and he was my guru. In the next principle I followed in life was about maximizing. He did not say in it as many words, but he indirectly influenced me to live 10 lives in one life. You simplify and amplify. That has been my personal mantra. But he taught me the value of maximizing your experience, maximizing your goodness, maximizing your output. This is what. There's a famous song in Bollywood, 1 2 ka 4, but what Ramesh Gadgil represented was 1 and 1 is 11. I asked him for 10 and he would give me 100. And he made a monster out of me in the ENT space of thing that I could not. If I have to meet Gadgil, I have to see what more can I think of that this guy can perhaps say a no to. And trust me, in all my associations, he never said no to me for anything. Is there something that you can do better or bigger? That was the only soul of our meetings. And this indirectly by virtue, because he was in Thane, I met him several times, and Rajeshri became the daughter that she is. And I have to here mention that we were very, very close as people. I don't know, a lot of people interacted with him, but his source of wisdom, of Mr. Ramesh Gadgil's source of wisdom, was his dear wife. He used to say, Ashish, in Marathi, he would say, Baikanna काय देवानी बुद्धी दिले माहित नाही. Like the wives are blessed by God. They have a sense for the essence. They can go straight down to the core of to the core matter, and simply these answers come to them. So whenever he was in trouble or when he was in a dilemma, his guide was his wife, with whom I've had the privilege to interact several times. And she would very quickly, in a very simple Maharashtrian thing, just say something, and that would be, lo behold, profound. There came the solution. And this I dedicate also to my wife and all the women out there who are just naturally gifted to be solution finders. And Rajeshri is also one of them, on a journey that her father very, very would be proud of, and I'm sure he is very proud of. I have interacted with them after he left and they started their own company and started to do things. And I have to salute her for being very persistent. The very fact that Mohan said about the grit, the never give up attitude, this is something which he has from modest beginnings. Very honestly, for all the big and the greatness that my friend Ramesh had in that space, it was still a modest when he started. It was a modest, small office that they started in Thane, and Rajeshri has built up on that. And the goodwill that her father had, she has, in the right sense, tried to fit in and grow up on that goodwill. Everybody mentioned about excellence, and excellence to me is nothing but just simply a pursuit. And to me, it's beyond a path. It's really a pursuit on a day-to-day basis. And my version, these are not my words, but what you do when no one is watching you, that is a dimension of excellence. When somebody is watching, you try to give your best. But when nobody is watching, when nobody cares what you're doing, still, what is it that you do? Do you do it to your best of your ability? That is excellence. And then I bring in a term called as the Gillette syndrome, where, like the Gillette shaving system, you think you have the best shaving system now, and in 2 or 3 months, they simply make it better. They add a layer of lubrication, they add a layer of moisturizer. So I try to adopt that in my surgical, in my clinical, and in the way I live my life. Can I make something better? And usually better has a simpler dimension to it. If you can simplify things, I think nature works, operates on that aspect of simplification for a stage of evolution. This is how I tend to look at life and my pursuit of excellence. A meditative state of silence is a very important and an integral part, I think, of any journey, be it an outward or an inward. And this is something, again, which among the few things that we discussed in detail about philosophies of life, Gadgil's main moments came through these silent moments of trying to be the Superman of the marketing, pharma marketing, about breaking every possible rule. And I loved that about this man. There was no rule that he did not break or redefine or rewrite. And this is where even I love it. I do not like to stick to rules. I'm a rebel in that sense, but in a good way. Not because the rule has to be broken, but if there is a way of making it better, I'm very happy to transcend a rule. To me, that simplicity has allowed me, my definition of freedom is to be able to live a life without comparison. Don't care what your neighbor, what your colleague, what your other person in the city, you compete with yourself, because that is where the whole meaning of life is. It really doesn't matter what, and that's what allows you to grow. I very often ponder on the physiology of desire. Of by virtue, desire is that what you don't have. That is the definition of desire, and you have to start pondering over that physiology of desire. And what we see, epitome Nageshwar Reddy, is his desire to simply grow. What next? And there is a world-class gastroenterology institute with Dr. Mohan, 52 centers. Unthinkable. I mean, for a person of my bandwidth, absolutely unthinkable for somebody to grow in an entrepreneur way, in an organic way, in such a fantastic manner and such a big scale. A lot is said about ego, and a lot is said that people should not have ego. I go the other way around. I say be a super ego, but position or place your ego in the right place. We cannot escape the ego. I think as human beings, as people, we cannot, but it should be positioned. And I position my ego in the service to my patient. If I can make my patient happy, if I can cure him or her with the least possible trouble, that is where my ego is. And this ego also has a second aspect of how does a clinician face failure in life. When something, in spite of your best abilities, does not go well, how do you face failure? And that's where I think your real identity of your oneself comes in, the way you face failure at a clinical level or at the family level or at the level of life. I've come in these COVID times. These are uncertain times. What is definitely certain is uncertainty. And we are actually living 2 weeks at a time, because if you catch the COVID, you're going to be having a 14-day vanvas. And you never know at the end of it what the outcome is likely to be. We are in the high risk group. So it has come down to that. And what is now most dominant is family, family, and family. And in the family, I include friends because these are emotional bonds which make a family. To me, it's not just blood which defines family. Gadgil is a family, and I have few very select people, but they're very close. And this is all that I think in the COVID times that matters. Uh, so the top priority today is love, family, and friends. Doing unnecessary things. What this COVID lockdown has taught me is the therapeutic value of nonsense, is the therapeutic value of doing unnecessary things. In the earlier times, when you're on a fast track, you tend to have a very transactional value to what you do on a day-to-day basis. What is in it for me is what sort of drives you, but you should be able to transcend it. And I think pure happiness and things lies there. To me, that is a wisdom of living. It may not be the wisdom of a transactional life. It may not be a wisdom of material wealth, but the wisdom of living lies in being very non-transactionals in majority of your relationships. A little bit about my attraction to the difficult, because I need to put here the milestones. I picked up in otology. Stapes surgery used to be considered as the difficult surgery. It is a all or none. It's a surgery that you do for hearing improvement, and it's a magical surgery if done well. So the early first decade of my life I devoted to that, and I, in a very modest way, like to say that I quite simplified the surgical technique. I destroyed the mystique of being very difficult. I went on record saying if I can do it, anybody can do it, and I, in a very logical way, made the surgical steps quite simple, and therefore made it very predictable to give a very great outcome in almost every case. So stapes surgery was my first decade. Then I picked up sinus surgery, and within sinus surgery, the frontal sinus surgery was considered to be the little difficult one, somewhere where in your attempt to do good, you end up doing bad because you create a lot of scar there. And this is something also which, in my own mind, I could simplify it and bring it out to the world to come and follow a technique which made frontal sinus surgery very easy. And then in the national conferences, what made me a little different from my other colleagues was, in the national conferences, I would see in hall A, B, C, D, I would see which hall is most crowded. And the hall that was most crowded, that was the subject that I did not want to take because I knew the mass would go there. And this is where I selected to go into microtia when the majority of the otologists were going into cochlear implants. I decided from the middle year to take a reverse turn, 180-degree turn, and not go into the cochlear implant for several reasons, and come into microtia, the external ear reconstruction. And here, for those who do not know, our beloved President Abdul Kalam sir, he had that hairstyle because one of his ear was slightly deformed. It's there on Google, and all his life he had the hairstyle to cover his ears. And in my journey of microtia, I realized what an impact, no matter how big a man becomes, how much of a complex deformed ear can still give it to a person that he or she needs to hide it. There have been several episodes, and the grit came here. There have been at least 20 times in my journey of microtia reconstruction that I decided to give up. My wife would stand by me, my son would stand by me, and they says, "Don't, daddy, don't give up, do it," because I could not see a well-made ear simply get necrosed, and it would honestly bring tears to my eyes. But we persisted. Uh, Went on to become a founder member, got accepted by the international community for the work, because India is about numbers and surgical practice is all about numbers. So we could very quickly get to that higher peak of excellence in microtia. And then the otologist in me, the hearing reconstruction, which simply was a question of time that I could marry the reconstruction of the external ear with the surgery for improvement. And this is where the uniqueness came in, to be among the top 3 or 5 surgeons in the world, to be able to do both the surgeries together. And this is where currently I am positioned, to be able to do an external ear reconstruction and at the same time do a surgery to improve the hearing of the patient. Very few surgeons in the world do it, but this was my penchant for the difficult. And this is where I think, like my friend Gadgil, I started redefining the spaces and the rules that ruled us. So I think this is where perhaps I should end. And again, cheers to my friend. He's up there watching all of this. And my award for a great human being and a great friend goes to him, my dear friend Ramesh Gadgil, who saw me through and who guided me in many ways that I even did not know of. So thank you, Rajeshri, for this opportunity to be among the greats here. And I am truly honored to be on this forum. Thank you so much.
Well, now we take the privilege of actually presenting you the award. And on that note, I would invite, of course, Dr. S.K. Mathur, but also if Dr. Ram Prabhu can join in and say a few words while we are presenting the award to Dr. Ashish Bhumkar.
Yeah, thank you, Rajeshri. It was really an honor today to be among such dignitaries and such excellent speakers, starting from Dr. Sanjay Desai, later on by Dr. Shailesh Shri, and then, of course, Dr. Nagireddy and Dr. B. Mohan, and finally, the icing on the cake was by Dr. Bhumkar. And it is a great thing. In fact, to tell you frankly, I was actually going to be going away at 7 o'clock, but Rajeshri said that no, you have to be there. And I continued because I said these are not my subjects. But then after knowing who are going to speak, Dr. Nagireddy and V. Mohan, I said I must stick on. And I continued that. And really thankful. And I think this is the greatest way that we have celebrated Ramesh Gadgil's birthday today. And I really remember him. I owe him a lot for the friendship, and lots have been said by other speakers too. But we have had a very close relationship from 1976-77, and I cannot forget that. So it's an honor today and my privilege that to be amongst all of you, the legendary surgeons and legendary physicians. And I have learned a lot today, I must say, with this meeting, with this webinar. Though it is not in person, but I have had the opportunity to actually interact virtually at least. I would continue to remain that. I'm going to read that book first of all, Dr. V. Mohan. So that is probably that my first something on the agenda. And thank you very much, Rajeshri, for inviting me. Of course, meeting Dr. Mathur also was a great thing. Dr. Shri sir, who have actually operated on quite a few of my family members, so I owe him a lot. So it's a great pleasure to be amongst these people. And thank you very much. It was great interacting with Dr. Bhumkar. I've heard a lot about you from Rajeshri, but thank you very much for being there in person, virtually, of course. And we'll be meeting again. And I hand over this to Rajeshri at the end to probably end the program and do some Thanksgiving maybe.
We too have a few more awards to go, sir. And but while we present the award to Dr. Ashish Bhumkar, I'd like Dr. S.K. Mathur to say a few words as well.
Dr. Bhumkar, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
For the type of work you are doing. See, the most important thing today for me, which is heartening, is that each one of you believe in innovations. And that is something which was very close to me all throughout my active career. And so I'm very happy to be part of this award system, and definitely congratulations, Dr. Bhumkar, for doing the innovative work. And I'm sure that you will continue to do it for many years to come. Congratulations.
We'd like Jashan to actually join the panel. We are adding him, of course.
Mute.
Yeah, hi. I'm very much here. So thanks, Rajeshri, for doing this event. It's been lovely. I've been attending it since the last hour or so. It's absolutely lovely that you're doing this. And of course, for me, it's a great honor to see you recognize my father's work, and of course his closeness to Gadgil uncle. That's something which I've seen through my childhood, the special bond that they share, and it's lovely to relive that and celebrate it here.
Well, there were only two people, so when it came to introducing Dr. Ashish Bumkar, we were like, only Jashan can do it. So when Jashan said that I won't be able to do it because he's of course unwell, so I said then it can't be anyone but me. So there were only two options.
13 of his COVID today. So
Yeah, I just didn't want to mention. So I've been communicating with him silently also. So we've been planning all this, that he's going to be online, etc. So it's a pleasure to have him here as well. And we thank you very much for receiving this award. If it was in person, of course, it would have been obviously completely different. But this occasion is really reached his epitome of wisdom and excellence with you, Dr. Ashish Bumkar. And this award presenting to you is actually a dream for me, and I'm really obliged.
family, it's all in the family. Yeah.
Well, with that, we will have to move on to the next award, and of course, we have Dr. Anil Buraskar with us today, and we will of course want him to say a few words and share his memoirs with RS Gadgil, because another very die-hard friendship which still exists even if one is gone. It's such a it's such a happiness and pleasure to have you, Dr. Anil Buraskar, sir, with us. And the virtual stage is for you, for your humor and the fire you will create. If you can unmute yourself, sir.
First of all, I'm really grateful to you for calling me at 7 o'clock and made me go through 49 minutes of a great experience in my life. Starting from Mohan, who is a very dear friend of mine. Then, of course, Bumkar. I never knew that such a genius is very near our city in Thane, and I have been hearing about his work and his great surgical skills. We have heard, but when we hear him speaking, what I admire about this gentleman is his in-depth study of philosophy of life. And he reminded me of my great mama, Ramu Bhaiya Date. He says, the life is a mahfil. Every day is a mahfil. He says the same thing, that the life every day is to enjoy and not crib or complain. I've learned a lot from Dr. Bumkar. And Mohan, of course, is a very dear friend of mine. And today I have a great pleasure of talking few words about Gadgil is not possible. Gadgil was a very dear friend of mine, and what experience Dr. Bumkar had about giving the patronship of a ENT conference has happened to me. One day I happened to meet Dr. Gadgil, Mr. Gadgil, and I told him that I'm trying to hold a conference in Mauritius as an IPF chair. But my problem is budget. What is the expenditure, he asked me. I say, taking all the delegates and taking Indian speakers and their fare. Tell me what amount you want. I said, Marathi Brahman Manusha Magun kiti magna. I asked 25 lakhs. Gadgil said, think big, think king size. He gave me one single check of 48 lakh rupees. He says, everything should be the best. You are taking delegates, take them in a business class. You keep them at a resorting place. The Mauritius people got crazy. There is one lady, Lady Ramdani. They're all basically chamchas of British, but they saw a giant, and she came to India and she wanted to have another conference with Gadgil as a chief patron. Now that is Ramesh Gadgil. He was a king-size man. He had a great sense of music. And after 4 large peg, he would sing some songs which were completely out of tune, but we would appreciate it. Now, I must tell you, there is not a single association or organization in this country, outside country, that he has not been the host. You take API, you take Diabetic Association of India, you take RSSGI, all conferences, the chief patron was USV. Gadgil started from Hindustan Antibiotics. The USV came to know because of Gadgil. It was known as USV of Gadgil. And one thing I told you, so we had some differences with the people. He left USV and there was a bomb blast in Poonam Chambers. Do you know, first person to have rushed to the site was Ramesh Gadgil. Because he said, my employees of USV, he didn't say that I have left the company, but that was Gadgil. That was his heart. When I talk about Gadgil, it brings tears because one of the greatest moments of my life I spent with that man. He taught me, Anil, you are also a Leo. You will not do anything small. But today I have realized that I have to do so many things to come anywhere close to Mohan, Bhumkar and this company because their achievement appalls me. You see, the people can achieve so many things by just being passionate, just being perseverant. And this perseverance and passions and all these qualities were imbibed by all of us who were in company with Gadgil. Do you know there are many consultants in diabetology are there today in that position because they got a lot of help from Gadgil, right from their medical student days. And that is what he did even after leaving USV, which was a very powerful position. He started the consultancy, he gave us advice, and he would say never ever he said no to any favor that I asked for. So that is Ramesh Gadgil. He brought so many fond memories that I get tears while talking about him. And I'm so glad that Rajeshri called me to give some few words about my very close friend, Ramesh Gadgil. Thanks. Now my next duty, Rajeshri, I'm also privileged to introduce our next speaker, who had been my colleague. At IDF. She is an ophthalmologist involved in many programs on diabetes. And she was my co-chair of Turkish Diabetes Association when I was a chair. And she has got a lot of awards. She's the chair in IDF in Europe, December 2015 to 2019. And she's a president of Living with Diabetes organization. The nation-wise, all the nations put together. And she has done enormous work, both for IDF and for eye care in Turkey. Now, Turkey is no more a open country. It's quite a difficult place to work with. Istanbul, there was a conference. It was a different time. And I met her. Shehnaz was a very, very dynamic lady. And she has brought about many papers and publications on role of ophthalmologist in diabetes. So, friends, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great privilege to introduce Professor Shehnaz Karadeniz. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to be amongst all of you, Rajeshri, that you gave me an opportunity to interact with all the stalwarts who truly deserve this award of excellence. And in pursuit of excellence, they have not forgotten their basics and ethics. And they have done some pioneering work. Today, you'll realize the importance of reconstruction of external ear, particularly when you have to wear a mask. Now, that is something I think Dr. Kumkar did not say it, because there is a lot more he has achieved in this great surgical skill that he has really invented. He is the pioneer in that branch. And I'm very grateful to you for giving me an opportunity to be in this panel. Thank you very much, Raj.
Thank you so much, Dr. Buraskar. It's always pure happiness and deep honor to have you with us on our programs. We've done so many programs together, and we will continue to doing that. And you know, doing programs with you is like doing programs with you and Dad. So, you know, we will continue to do the great work in the field of education and practice that you have been doing, and we will want to take it forward all the time.
Thank you.
You need not thank me, because I'm just trying to you know, be there, and you know, you call others stalwarts, but we all know what a legend you are in your work as well. So thank you so much for the kind words, and it is a pleasure to, of course, have Professor Dr. Shehnaz Karadeniz with us. Thank you again for you know, accepting our request, and you know, it's a pleasure to have you on this panel with us and to receive this award. The virtual stage is really yours to share all the insights that you would. I know that today is Father's Day, and you surely are missing your father. And I would definitely want to make the mention as we celebrate his life and salute him while we are presenting this award to you.
Dear Rajeshri, thank you so much. And dear Anil, it's wonderful to meet with you, at least online. And thank you so much for this great introduction. Thank you so much. So, respected dignitaries, dear special guests, dear awardees, dear colleagues, and respected audience. Today, I'm so honored to be able to address you and to be among the awardees of the RSG, Wisdom and Excellence in Healthcare. As Rajeshri said, when I was communicated by Ms. Rajeshri, I was especially touched to hear that is also the celebration of the 75th birth anniversary of her late father, who pioneered the continuing medical education in India and served for health and wellness, as we heard from several colleagues today. This event on the Father's Day is very special for me, as this is the first time that my father is not beside me on this day. He passed away about 7 months ago. I'm sorry for this.
This is what these awards are about. It's about excellence and emotions. So,
yeah.
And I can feel it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. He and my mother have been my role models throughout my life, and I'm so thankful to them. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry because this is. My father was a professor in thoracic surgery and also a successful founding rector of the Trakya University, which is called the Trace University, and this for 10 years. This is a governmental university in the European part of our country. He also laid the groundwork for other universities in the Trace region of our country by opening faculties in surrounding cities. Now, 3 other governmental universities have been established in these cities, of which the first faculties were established as part of the Trace University during those years. His ideals and values have guided me throughout my life, but time will show to what extent I've been successful to follow them. Actually, I wanted to become a physician from my childhood on. And when I studied medicine in the Istanbul University, I had general surgery in mind as a specialty. But when we had our internship training in the ophthalmology clinic, the assistants there were very kind to show me the eye through the slit lamp and also the back of the eye through special lenses. I was amazed by what I have seen. So it was discovering another world within our body. And all of a sudden, I could not decide if I should make an effort to become a general surgeon or an ophthalmologist. And I decided to take the exams for the ophthalmology training back in 1986. And I still believe that I have done the right decision. On the other side, I must admit, I don't know where I would be if I would choose the general surgery. So at the end, this is the paradox of every choice we make. While we do a decision, we do abandon the other options. Another landmark moment in my life was to go out from the ophthalmology clinic and join the diabetes team at internal medicine department in the same faculty. So this was the first time in the universities in Turkey that an ophthalmologist took such a step. So we established an eye unit within the diabetes clinic in Istanbul Faculty of Medicine, which was one of the leading diabetes outpatient clinics in Turkey at that time. And I continued doing the interventions like laser photocoagulation in the ophthalmology department of the same faculty. In 1996, we established the Turkish Diabetes Foundation together with the colleagues there. And it was approved as a not-for-profit organization by the Cabinet of Ministers of the Republic of Turkey, and also became a member of the International Diabetes Federation. We all were more and more motivated as we contributed to the positive changes in the diabetes community through our activities. At the governmental level, we mainly focused on bringing diabetes to the health agenda of the decision makers and on improving the patient's rights, including the reimbursement. This is very important for us. At the healthcare professional level, we focused on organizing national and international meetings and courses and publications, and also organizing the National Diabetes Congress together with the Turkish Diabetes Association. And then at the patient's front, we mainly invested in patients' education in diabetes camps. So it's mainly about education, among others. The most critical point during the growth of the foundation was to make it a real nationwide organization, to establish a board of the trustees to represent a whole diabetes community, and also to have board members from all over the country and not limit the weight of the decision making to its founding members. So we were about 7 founding members of the foundation at that time, so that everyone feels that they are part of a big organization and that they together achieve a positive change in the diabetes community. And we managed to do all these. We have a board of trustees. About 50% of the board of trustees are the leading faculties in diabetes in Turkey from several universities. And then we have also diabetes nurses there, and we also the diabetes dietitians. And then we have about 50% patients, their relatives, and also some other volunteers. So this is how our board of trustees is structured. So we try to have all diabetes community represented in our board of trustees. And currently, out of 7 board members, only 2 people, Professor Temel Yılmaz and me, are the founding members, and the other board members are leading faculties from different cities in Turkey. As Dr. Anil said in the introduction, I'm also leading a nationwide patients organization, Living with Diabetes Association, and has been supporting it since its establishment. At the national and international levels, all efforts in diabetes field is to improve the lives of people with diabetes and those at risk. At the end, we are here because of the, if there would be no people with diabetes, then we would be probably focusing on some other areas. And we want to reduce the diabetes burden by primary, secondary, and tertiary prevention. It's important that the voice of the patients is loud enough to be heard. And this can only be done in a planned and organized way and through such organizations. Actually, my mother has been the role model for all my volunteer work. She has taken the role of NGOs in the community very seriously and served in several of them. I believe the NGOs have a growing role in the social development as a task-oriented group and driven by people with common interest. They serve in creating awareness, in advocacy, in monitoring of policy and programs on the ground related to their vision and mission. When it comes in increasing awareness about the rights, which is among the main scopes of most of the NGOs, I strongly believe that we should also speak about the duties or the responsibilities. So we can not only ask for rights, but we should also fulfill our duties and responsibilities as the civil society or as the people with diabetes in our case. The NGO work is demanding, needs lots of time and long-term dedication and patience and tireless advocacy for the cause. But contributing to a positive change or touching the lives of less privileged ones is worth everything. In a simple term, the NGO work depends on good communication and relationships, as we are dealing with human beings, be this a decision maker or a volunteer or a person with problems. I want to recall the principles for relationships by Mahatma Gandhi. Respect, understanding, acceptance, and appreciation. So we have to respect everyone, try to understand the basis of the problems and different motivations people may have, to accept the things we cannot change at this moment, but try to concentrate on short-term goals that will serve our long-term objectives, and appreciate everyone who tries to contribute to these objectives. Whoever we are, wherever we live, there are two things in life, the health and the justice. We all have to strive for their highest standard to be attainable in our countries, in our region, and all over the world. We should all have always in mind that we all may need one of them or both one day. Several people ask me why I'm so much involved in diabetes and spend so much time for the NGO work. I believe diabetes is a wonderful example how we can contribute to the society health-wise. It's a growing public health concern all over the world, although COVID-19 prevails in these last 2 years. According to 2019 estimates of the International Diabetes Federation, there are 463 million adults living with diabetes worldwide. And if they would be living in the same country, they would be the third most populous country in the world after China and India. All these big numbers, after 20 to 30 years, after large-scale randomized controlled trials that have clearly shown that in populations at risk for diabetes, we mean the type 2 diabetes, relative risk reductions up to 58% can be achieved after 3 years with lifestyle modification only. But still, the projections of IDF for the 2045 is much higher, and as far as I remember, about 600 million for the number of people with diabetes if the trend continues like this. An additional concern is that 1 in 2 adults with diabetes, they are unaware of their disease, which increases the risk of long-term complications. And again, in low-income countries, the highest proportion of undiagnosed diabetes is in low-income countries. And when we think of the long-term complications of diabetes, like diabetic retinopathy, nephropathy, or neuropathy, these are the main burden for human, for national economies, and for the social life. And they are all, I mean, we cannot prevent the development of retinopathy or these complications, which are the end organ responses to a systemic disease, to diabetes. But on the other side, the big studies show that we can prevent the level of we can prevent the late stages of all these complications. So, and the late stages are the ones which are affecting the quality of life of people with diabetes. On the other side, there are several declarations, resolutions, and recommendations by United Nations, by WHO, by the European Union, and many other institutions that exist at the global and regional levels, showing that political and public health leaders increasingly recognize the need for taking action to address the problem of diabetes. But if we come back to Europe, the first declaration, the St. Vincent Declaration, which was done under the auspices of the WHO Europe and IDF Europe. I mean, the year was 1989. So so many years ago. And then we had, after 10 years, we had the Istanbul Declaration in Turkey, in Istanbul, to assess the developments in the last 10 years. And this was in 1999. And most of these declarations are asking the member states to establish national plans and programs. But even in Europe, we had a survey back in 2017 I mean, from the member association responding the this survey, out of 38 countries, only 22 countries had a national diabetes plan in place, and the structure and monitoring systems and so were not as desired. So throughout the centuries, the healthcare systems have been organized to address acute problems and patients' urgent needs, as they are dealing currently with the COVID-19 pandemic. To reverse the diabetes epidemic and related challenges, we need a paradigm shift, a coordinated and comprehensive approach at every stage, a national plan, alignment of sectoral policies for health, active involvement of stakeholders, a greater responsibility and active contribution from NGOs and civil society. And then, in order to have a positive impact on the ground, the plan should be implemented successfully and should have monitoring systems in place. Unfortunately, at this moment, both in India, in Turkey, and in so many countries still, the COVID-19 related concern overwhelms the healthcare systems nearly in all these countries. But there should be no shift of focus from the chronic conditions. We should not forget that people with diabetes and other conditions had more health problems during this period. So at the end of my speech, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to Rajashri Gadgil and to the selecting committee and for this honorable award. Thank you.
It's absolutely been a pleasure to have you with us, and again, sharing all the great good work that you've been doing. So much you've been doing socially and trying to make sure that diabetes management across continents happen. And I'm sure we will be joining hands on doing a lot of work together in this area. And of course, you have been already doing a lot with Dr. Anil Boraskar and so many other diabetologists in India.
And I want to recall here also Dr. Shaukat, Dr. Shaukat Sadikot. When we were serving together at the IDF board, together with Dr. Anil Boraskar, that time was the presidency of Dr. Shaukat, and may he rest in peace.
I would want to call upon Dr. Rekha Bhatkande, madam, especially to do the honor for this award while we present the RSG Wisdom and Excellence Award to Dr. Shehnaz Karadadis. And I would also want to remember Dr. Irina, who want to mention her absolutely for making this happen. She actually helped us reach out to you, and such an amazing experience it has been talking to both of you, working on the health aspects globally. So over to you, Dr. Rekha Bhatkande, to say a few words as we present this award to Dr. Shehnaz Karadadis.
Dr. Shehnaz, it's been a pleasure listening to you. And, I mean, I know today's Father's Day, but I think women empowerment is there all the time. So it's been extremely good. And that so much can be done. And, you want to do things and so much is needed to be done. And I think it's wonderful. It's just great. And I'm glad that you're collaborating with our doctors like Shaukat and Anil Boraskar. And of course, Rajesh is always going to be there to bring even more
yes,
to the platform. And I think that's great because I feel as a gastroenterologist, there is so much to be done. And currently in our country, we're focusing on, all the non-conformable or the the NCDs in women, And and as a gastroenterologist, we're really worried about this, the fatty liver, so all this links up somewhere. And I think all the metabolic diseases and the diets and nutrition and everything links up. So I'm so glad, and congratulations on your award. I mean, a very richly deserved award. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Shehnaz Karidini's,
Thank you so
Dr.
much.
Rekha Bhatkande and Dr. Mathur. We will, of course, move on to the next award to be presented, and that there are two more great visionaries whom we would be presenting the award. The next award, of course, goes to Dr. J.K. Maniyar, and I would like to invite Dr. Vedas Nimkar to really do the honor of introducing Dr. J.K. Maniyar.
Thank you, Rajeshri. It's really an honor and privilege to introduce Dr. J.K. Maniyar sir today. And I'm humbled. And I really feel like a firefly who has been asked to describe a bright, shining sun. That's how I feel. To describe the achievements of Dr. Maniyar sir in just a couple of minutes is very hard, but I'll try to highlight the salient points. He's a consultant HIV physician practicing at Jaslok Hospital in Mumbai. He was formerly the professor and head of the Department of Dermatology and Venereal Diseases at Grand Medical College and Sir J.J. Group of Hospitals in Mumbai. He's been a visiting professor of dermatovenerology and AIDS medicine at University of Texas in Galveston, US. He has been the chief physician in the NACO team formulating the guidelines for HIV/AIDS management in India. He has received multiple awards for his research work, papers, and orations. He has many firsts to his credit. He was the first Asian physician to detect HIV-2 infection in Asia Pacific. He was also the first Asian physician to detect HIV-1 subtype C. He is also the first Indian physician to successfully culture both HIV-1 and 2 in collaboration with German Virology Laboratory. To date, he has been tirelessly working since 1986 in the field of HIV medicine, and to date has managed almost over 90,000 patients living with HIV and AIDS. In the COVID era and the bad phase that we all are passing through, he has been relentlessly working for patients who are HIV positive or people living with HIV AIDS, as we call them, who have been infected with COVID, and as a matter of fact, in the process of preparing a case series for them. He's a teacher par excellence, and I cannot resist the temptation to give the quote of the famous Greek philosopher Aristotle here. The one exclusive sign of thorough knowledge is the power of teaching. And this line goes well for Dr. Maniyar sir. Those who know him know that he's a living encyclopedia of not just HIV medicine, but medicine per se. He has been a mentor and a guiding light for a number of next generation doctors, especially physicians and infectious diseases consultants. He has been a father figure and a real dream mentor one could have. I feel blessed to have been mentored by him. He's always there, just a phone call away for everyone. Teacher par excellence and academician that he is also a great managerial person. He has been single-handedly, it would not be an exaggeration if I say this, he has been single-handedly conceptualized and has been conducting the HIV Congress, which is ongoing biennial conference. It is the biggest event in the HIV medicine calendar in India. where we have more than 2,500 doctors attending and faculty from more than 25 to 30 countries. He has been the patron and the organizer of it for past almost 20 years and single-handedly managed that. So without wasting further time, I don't want to come in between you all and Dr. Maniyar sir. I would request Dr. J.K. Maniyar sir to share the gems of his wisdom with us. Over to you, sir.
Dr. Vedas, thank you so much for doing the introduction, and we're really looking forward to hearing from Dr. Maniyar and his pearls of wisdom. And we've heard so much about him and so much about his great work that he has been doing years together. Dr. Maniyar, it's absolutely a proud privilege and honor to have you receive the award, of course, and before that, we really are eagerly looking forward to your talk.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Outside, I'd like to thank Dr. Nimka Vedas to introduce me to you all and have an honor of receiving the award. I don't know whether I deserve it or not, but something which I feel very proud that I've been honored by an excellent organization where you appreciate the work of different people in a different specialty and expertness. And that is encouraging for the people who are working. Even at my age, I feel encouraged that you've been appreciating what is being done today, especially in the subject of HIV medicine. A lot of stigma, not yet died down. 36 years of my career from day one in Mumbai and India, I would still say stigma persists. People are still scared. People want to get away from people who are living with HIV. It is slowly reducing, there's no doubt about it. But we need to be very clear about it. The government is doing everything. Multiple NGOs are involved in almost abolishing the stigma and have acceptance of the people who are living with HIV. I think slowly but surely, you should be one thing very proud that this country has been reported to have 2.1 million people living with HIV as on today, but I'm not sure. The reason is, these are all tip of the iceberg. There are many more people living with HIV, many more people who don't know their status, many more people who are trying to hide away from this particular disease. But eventually, what we are doing is, because India is manufacturing drugs that can control the disease, you'll be all surprised to hear 60% or almost 65% of world need for HIV drug is being met by India. You should be really proud of it. They are very cheap, most effective medicine, and it is all latest medication which are in the world are being generically marketed here, and it is accessible to anybody. Don't forget, the NGOs and the government organization are providing the free medication, plus the private sector prescribing medicine, which are really affordable price, cheaper than monthly budget of diabetic medicine. I just want to say one issue here, that like diabetes, like hypertension, which is very common, or high cholesterol level, people will have to learn to live with HIV without having unnecessary stigma. It's a manageable disease like blood pressure, and people live almost a normal life. I have a great privilege of offering parenthood to the people who are living with HIV. It's almost 9 years. Now we have expertness in offering parenthood in an absolute natural way. And they all have children born without any kind of infection being acquired. Lastly, but not the least, I deal with plenty of gays who are affected with HIV. They want to have a baby. We have a surrogate mother or surrogacy that offers them a baby. So this is something which I feel is a uniqueness. And most of the women who are positive, who are pregnant, they all been screened for HIV. And we find that they all give a birth to a child which is not infected just because of the currently available medication. I think the government, the NGOs, the medical community per se are doing the best possible to keep the disease under control. You'll be all surprised. We have something like pre-exposure prophylaxis. There are many people who enjoy the sexual life. They have multiple partners, but there are medication now which are very cheap. Just something like 1,000 rupees a month. You take the medication and you avoid getting the disease. I think it's a great achievement. And something which I feel we're proud as an Indian, that even the so-called HIV vaccine or a cure for HIV, don't forget, we'll see them in the near future with the cooperation from all my colleagues and of course the society per se. I think it is a long journey. I finished 36 years. I never thought of ever retiring till I'm physically and mentally fit. Thanks all. Thanks a lot.
Well, that's absolutely a short, but what do you say, a hard-hitting and a talk which really tells us about the journey of HIV in this country even today. And I have, sir, learned a lot, of course, about you from Dr. Vedas, about your journey and the way you have really taken the education around this stigmatic disease is what we still know it is, and we wish that more of us can actually learn from you and take your mission forward relentlessly, and more physicians and doctors and dermatologists learn to take your art forward when it comes to this disease. And not many focus on this segment as there are more glamorous conferences that happen in the country, but you've chosen this difficult path and made it a big success. And of course, you are so very well known amongst your students. I have while we were actually giving you the award, I tried to do a lot of research on you, and so many students having posted so many comments, and Dr. Vedas Nimkar can't stop talking about you and the learning he has had from you. Dr. Vedas Nimkar, thank you so much for making this happen. And I would again invite Dr. Rekha Bhaskande to present this award and actually say a few words while we present this award to Dr. J.K. Maniyar. What an honor, sir.
What can I say, Rajeshri? It's a privilege to give this award to Dr. J.K. Maniyar. He has done a phenomenal job in a field that nobody wanted to venture into. And because of him, the NACO guidelines, which have come out pretty, systematically, and I think the latest is about the 1990, the guideline, the NACO guidelines of 2020. And I'm sure people with under his guidance are going to see to it that this actually happens in our country. And like he said, I mean, he wanted all the HIV persons, people suffering from that, to know about their own status, because that's what will, actually improve, not only improve their physical condition, because then about taking the medicines, but also the mental hygiene. See, these are diseases which affect the mind as much as the body, because it's very difficult to grapple with a disease that everybody shuns. You see, I mean, people are still unaware about the actual transmission of the disease and things like that, and people are still shunning the HIV patients. So I think that's something that Dr. Maniyar has done.
Thank you.
I mean, you deserve this award. And
thanks a lot, Rajeshri. Thanks a lot, Dr. Rekha. Thanks.
Sir, I would say it's our honor to present that to you. And if you let me ask you a question which I've been itching to ask you, because you have so much of in-depth understanding, of course, knowledge, but understanding, experience, expertise in treating HIV. What would you say? Because we are on another very bad pandemic. When HIV struck us, we had no answers, and today we have a pandemic where we don't have answers again. We would definitely want to hear a few words of wisdom from you on that front.
I think the HIV pandemic is well under control. See, we have no drugs that can take care of COVID-19, specific drug. While every year there are new medication for HIV treatment. So, and plus at the affordable price. So what I personally feel, the more and more awareness through some of the organizations like yours and others will certainly bring down the stigma. At the same time, the multiple drugs that are being available now is reducing transmission part. Plus, the marriages are happening. There's no problem at the workplace now. It's all, everything is now getting normalized. And to me, it looks, see, it's principally sexually transmitted infection. It's principally people are talking about condomless sexuality and all that. I think we'll have to live with this and try to make sure the disease spread is very well controlled with the awareness. The drugs available as a pre-exposure prophylaxis, post-exposure prophylaxis, and so on. Idea is that don't forget it's a behavioral disorder. It's something which is never going to vanish, but it's treatable. It's something which you can certainly prevent the spread. And unlike COVID-19, which is a lot of fear today, that fear was there when I started work. Oh my, no doctor was willing to treat patients because people were scared of getting infected. So slowly but surely, we see that today it's become now socially 100% acceptable disease. And to me, it looked like the future is good. Don't forget, madam, there is definitely a great hope in a near future, A, for preventive vaccine, B, for therapeutic vaccine, and C, cure. Don't forget, if hepatitis C can be eradicated, one day we'll certainly see a medication that can eradicate HIV infection. Let's hope for the best. Thanks all. Thanks a lot.
So that's that coming from you is extremely encouraging, and sending hope to all the people who are really watching this program. And we will of course keep relentlessly doing the hard work in sharing more and more knowledge as much possible on infectious diseases, and especially now that there is so much of attention because of COVID on infections. Thank you so much again, sir, for receiving this award from us, the RSG Wisdom and Excellence Award.
Thanks.
Dr. Vedas, thank you again for making this happen.
Thanks a lot.
We of course, what do you say? I mean, last but not the least, one of the favorite teachers is what we learn, Dr. Sharat Chenoy, as a surgeon and a teacher. And it's absolute honor, sir, to have you, as we've reached the epitome of wisdom and excellence, to keep it as high and take it much higher as we come to an end to this program. We are very honored to be able to present this Wisdom and Excellence Award to you, sir. And to do the honors and introduction, of course, we have one of your dear friends with us, who is also, of course, very known a person and known a figure when it comes to Thane doctors, and that is Dr. Avinash Wagre here. So, Dr. Wagre, it's such a pleasure to have you with us on this program, and who but you can do the honor of inviting and introducing Dr. Sharat Chenoy on this program. So please unmute yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, Rajeshri. You have been a pioneer in such activities and suitably rewarding and taking the doctors to a greater edge to perform better. It gives me great pleasure to introduce my roommate at Nair Hospital in the year 1981. Dr. Sharat Shanoy is a gastrointestinal laparoscopic surgeon and a general surgeon. He's attached to PD Hinduja, to Jaslok, to Raheja, to Kohinoor Hospital in Mumbai. He was the HOD of surgical unit at Rajawadi. He hails from a family of doctors and his brother is a recipient of the prestigious Padma Shri Award. His brilliance was seen in his UG and PG days where he bagged a number of awards. He has also a very large number of publications, both national and international, to his credit. He has been a speaker at many important forums, including today. His excellence in swimming needs a special mention. I welcome here Dr. Sharat Shenoy, a surgeon who contributed to academics, to practice, trained many young surgeons, and made medical fraternity proud by his winning international and national swimming championships. Welcome, Dr. Sharat Shenoy.
Thank you, Avinash, for the kind comments. At the outset, I have a confession to make. I am not an orator, and I'll tell you why. Firstly, I could not understand how do I address an august audience like this when I cannot see them. Secondly, if this is a lifetime achievement award, and then I thought that I would be the oldest person around, so addressing as respected seniors, etc., would be a cliche. So I thought, let me address the people all around me as friends, colleagues, and respected elders. A very warm evening to you all. I was honored as I was humbled on receiving this Excellency Award on this RSG Foundation Day. It is also an honor to have received this award on the 75th birth anniversary of an honorable man, Mr. R.S. Gadgil. This organization, I'm sure, must have been formed on his own life's commitment, which was called as a Wisdom Forum. The pillars of this forum, I read on the net over there, the pillars of this forum were humility, integrity, stewardship, discipline, courage, passion, and perseverance. Such was this man, R.S. Gadgil, who was called as a marketing guru in the pharma world. The present day function of celebration of wisdom and excellence, I am sure it was carved through commitment, compassion, connection, courage, and consistency, as you can see on the flyer behind Rajeshri. And I'm convinced that these were his mantras, his connecting words to grow from wisdom to excellence. I decided to honor this talk to him, and I added a few C's of my journey on the road from wisdom to excellence. I may not have achieved even half of what Mr. Gadgil would have achieved, but I can say with a hand on my heart that I've tried and I'm trying and will continue trying through the coming periods of my life. Let me put my 3 C's of my life into 3 segments and with 3 questions corresponding that period. The first period was college and school. I always have a question there, who is your icon? Career, undergraduate and postgraduate, what was the work etiquette which I followed? And collective success, as to what success means to me was the question. Let me come to my college and school days. In an interview prior to going to Budapest to represent India in the Veterans Olympics in 2017, I was 61 years then. I was asked the question, who has been your icon? I had a prompt and an honest answer. I told him, I am my own icon. I said, let me explain to you. I started my swimming career at the age of 12. I used to participate in swimming and diving. I lost my selection to represent swimming for the state team, but went on to represent for the diving event at the national level. But there too, I lost at the national level. But then, incidentally, the team were running short of a swimmer for the relay event. They opted me out, and I got my first medal at the national level at the age of 12. I could never imagine that my icon could be Mark Spitz as a swimmer. The simple reason that is unachievable. Or Edison academically. I am no academician that way. So I made a target for myself, a few notches above where I already was. I saw myself there and worked hard to reach there. If I was shown a deficiency in me, I would take it personal to improve myself and erase those faults. This attitude ignited a fire in my belly. I went on raising my icon and started racing towards it with just sheer hard work. As Paulo Coelho puts it in one of his novels, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. I went on to be the national champion. I would like to share some screenshots for you. Okay. 1 second. I can't see myself. Just give me 2 minutes. Okay, just give me a second.
Yes, sir. No problem.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, we are able to see.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, let me go back one. Okay. I became the state champion at the age of 14 years. I went on further to become the junior state champion in the year 1971. This is the same year that I won the national championship in 100 meters butterfly. Furthermore, I went on raising this icon. I went and became the national captain in the year 1976. All throughout this time, I was also doing my medical career. So in 1974, when I joined medicine, from 74 to 1979, I was the All India Intermedical Champion for 5 consecutive years. I also was the individual champion of the Mumbai University at the intercollegiate for 5 consecutive years. I was the intervarsity butterfly champion for almost for about 3 years. And this was running parallel to my swimming career. As age went by, I became the India vice captain in water polo in 1976. The medical career went on parallel along with this. Though I was not as good as Mark Spitz, I was good enough to get awarded the highest state award, the Shiv Chhatrapati Award in the year 1978. I'd always had a dream to stand on the starting block of an Olympic swim race. I raised my icon, but kept it on the back burner. I had to retire from my swimming in 1980 because I had to start my postgraduate surgery. However, in 1980, as a last passing salvo on my swimming world, I swam a long distance race in the Arabian Sea from Malad to Shivaji Park, a race of 35 kilometers. I did that in 7 hours flat. I lost 7 kilos in that one day. However, I made a record timing of 7 hours. Though I was third in the race, I still broke the old record. Of course, I retired from swimming. I reconnected with swimming after 36 years in 2016. In 2017, I represented India at the Veterans Olympics in Budapest at the tender age of 61. I met my goal and I felt, this is also what Paul Coelho said, you are what you believe yourself to be. The second segment of my life was my career. Undergraduate and postgraduate studies, and the question always has to ask myself, what would my work etiquette be? Firstly, I like to tell you, I came into this profession by default. I wanted to get into the army, but fate and destiny turned me into the medical fraternity. Old habits die hard, as they say. In first MBBS, I had gone to the library by mistake. My friends were studying hard. I asked them, what were they reading? They told me, this is not for you. You go ahead and swim. These studies will be difficult for you. I took this advice very personal. I notched up my icon, started studying, and yes, I came first in physiology in first MBBS. In second MBBS, during my cardiology term, the head of the Department of Cardiology, Dr. K.D. Shah, had put up a placard on the entrance to the department for everyone to see. He had written over there the road to success, and his mantra was late to bed, early to rise, work like hell, but advertise. I found another impetus. To push my icon status, hard work. I internalized the statement into my life and worked on it. I got a distinction in surgery in third MBBS. Mind you, my swimming career was parallelly running along with it. Then I got a first rank and a distinction in MS general surgery. I got a first and a gold medal in FCPS exams. All through the medical career, undergraduate and postgraduate, this statement egged me on, hard work. I pushed on both the fronts to the best I could, and I got my results. During my residency, I put in 18 hours of hard work on a daily basis. I took only about 15 days of leave in the 3 years of my career. I pushed relentless with no complaints. I was awarded the Best Resident Award at the end of the residency career. The third segment, collective success and what does success mean to me? At one of the forums on a panel, I was asked a question, what does success mean to you? While others on the panel felt affluence, fame, wealth, work satisfaction were the main ingredients of success, I differed from them. I felt and I said on the forum, the number of hearts that I touched in my lifetime is my success to me. The number of smiles that I can put on the faces of the people that come to me, that's success to me. And the number of souls that I've enlightened, that is success to me. Then they may be people, pupils, or my patients. Let me give you some examples. I had a poor farmer's son who had brought his mother with a cancer of the stomach for surgery. He was all set to mortgage his field to pay for his mother's surgical costs. I told him, you come to Rajawadi Hospital, and therefore I did it there at no cost. I felt much lighter in the heart, but I know that I touched his heart and I saw a smile on his face. That was success for me. When I tell a patient that he does not need surgery and we can get him well with just medication, the smile on his face is priceless. That is success for me. When a student is enlightened on a difficult topic when I'm teaching, when our pupils are inspired to take on postgraduate studies in surgery after having attended my lectures, that is success to me. I would like to tell 3 instances. I was waiting at a gas station to fill up gas. when a car came up behind a chauffeur-driven car had come, and behind there was a gentleman, a smart young gentleman, suited and booted. He came out of the car and fell at my feet. I was quite embarrassed. I just raised him up and I said, I don't like this, what is it? So he told me, he repeated something like to catch, to crush, to ligate, to cauterize. And I realized he was my student. This was an immortal statement that I make while teaching one of the instruments. So I asked him, what do you do now? He says, I'm a cardiovascular surgeon in Australia. And do you know, sir, what is the hallmark of this? When I went to Australia, I carried only two things with me. One is your notes, and second, the memories of your teaching. I felt that is my success. When the students come and tell me that when they write in the exams, they feel that is I'm talking to them in the background and the thoughts keep on pouring out onto the paper. Well, that is success for me. I had a batch of almost about 45 students, one who was training. 15 of them took up postgraduate surgery. That is success to me. When the parents of my pupils come and tell me, my son has started waking up at 5:30 in the morning. He leaves the house to attend a lecture at 6:30. Well, that is success to me. My life settled. This was my career as a surgeon, my career in the scrubs. My family settled. I'm on to my final segment of my life of handing over the baton to the generation next. But when I was raising the toast to life, a life well lived, I remember a dialogue from one of Shah Rukh Khan's movie. Picture abhi baki hai mere dost. I felt an urge to finish what I started and fulfill my bucket list. Well, on the academic front, I always wanted to write a book. I completed my book on surgery. This is for undergraduates, postgraduates, for surgeons, and all kinds of physicians, because there are interesting facts which are put there. It is my entire life's, what I would say, earning, or you can say, or my teaching. I shall be launching this book very soon, in a few days from now, maybe by end of June or early July. In the non-academic front, I wish to swim the Strait of Gibraltar. This was my long-term plan. However, I was planning to swim it this year, but the pandemic put a spoke in the wheel. There's no worry, there's always a next year. I would want to do bungee jumping, skydiving, go to Mansarovar, and many other things before I hang up my boots and walk into the sunset years. I do not know whether what I've said today would inspire at least some people over here, but I inspired myself to achieve what I've achieved and gone beyond. I would say a few tips of my life to inspire, if I may say so. Make friends in your life, not enemies. Keep your friends very close to your heart. Make your enemies also your friends and keep them close to your heart. I still have my school friends, my college friends, my swimming pool friends, my medical friends. They're all still very close to my heart. And I'm there for them as much as they are there for me. That is my earning in life. Second thing I would like to tell people, if you really want to get inspired, I think the mantra of success of life, late to bed, early to rise, work like hell, but advertise. Make that your mantra. You'll never feel at the end of your wits at any time. At the end of this talk, I once again like offer a big thank you to the RSG Summit for this Excellence Award. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Thank you.
Sir, again, a privilege to hear from a teacher who is so much loved, and also knowing about your passion for sports. And we wish you the very best for the book you're coming out with. I'm sure it's already a success, given your student fan following that you have. And Dr. Vedas again has shared a lot of stories of you as a teacher and how you encouraged so many students and motivated them, made them feel positive. Dr. Vedas, if you would like to say a few words, and then of course.
Yes, Rajeshri, like sir was saying, that actually happened to me. I'm very blessed to have him as my teacher. I was his student. Today, though I'm not a surgeon, I'm a physician, but I still remember whatever surgery he taught us. And like they say, the average teacher explains the complexities, but the gifted teacher reveals the simplicity. And for us, Dr. Shenoy is that gifted teacher who made the surgery very simple for us. Thank you, sir, so much for being our teacher and inspiring us and guiding us, sir, from all your students and from myself. So, wish you very best for the launch of your book. And I would be very happy to receive the first copy.
100%, for sure.
I would request Dr. Rekha Bhatkande ma'am to actually do the honors of presenting the award to Dr. Sharat Chenoy.
I
would like to
Rajeshri, I think Dr. Ram Prabhu wants to say something.
Yes, just bear with us for a second. We are trying to get you on the panel here. Yes.
Yeah, so excellent talk and very motivational speech from Dr. Sharat Chenoy. I remember him as an undergraduate and postgraduate student from Nair Hospital. I am from KEM, and we knew that he was in Nair Hospital swimming team. And we also knew that whatever we do, I was in a swimming team of KEM and GS Medical. So we knew that as long as Sharat Chenoy is there in Nair, we can never get any medal. So that was a rivalry between KEM and Nair Hospital. And they had a wonderful water polo team, and they had a great swimming quartet that they had. So we thought that there was our college swimming ended at our college. We never could go at intermedical level, nor could we compete in the inter-collegiate. That's because Sharat Chenoy and his friends, and so I always envied and was a little bit jealous of him. And he later on continued his career, as you saw, as a brilliant career also. I must thank him for what my son and my daughter-in-law has done, because they have been taught by him. And my son is a spinal surgeon now. Thanks to him, he took surgery and later on surgical thing. And my daughter-in-law became a gynecologist. And they so often remember him in various discussions that we have over dinner, etc., etc. So thank you, Sharat, for a great teaching. Thank you for being in my family, though incognito, you are always there in our mind.
Every part of my friend circle is my family.
Oh, yes, that's lovely. And we really admire you for what the success that you have made. And we are thankful and we are very proud of you. Thank you, Rajeshri, for awarding him the excellent award, and he truly deserves it. So this wisdom and excellent award, we have got a true person besides those stalwarts that you have already given the awards. I think you have really done a great job by honoring him today. Sorry, Madam Bhatkande, for getting into your...
Sir, it's a pleasure when somebody does half the work for you.
No.
Thank you, sir.
I could stop, but I had to interrupt and say something about him.
Yeah, no, wonderful.
Yeah.
I
Thank
mean,
you, Sharat. Thank you for...
With that, should I request Dr. Prabhu and Dr. Bhatkande to also make the closing remarks to this program, because we are ending this program with a great teacher and a great surgeon, Dr. Sharat Chenoy. While we're presenting the award, if both of you also put your last comments, and then of course I will want Dr.
Sure. If I can first present the award, Dr. Sharat Chenoy, I'm a gastrophysician, so it's an absolute privilege to be awarding a gastrosurgeon. So your minimal access surgery is your success story. I mean, everybody talks about Dr. Sharat Chenoy's minimal access surgery. Your laparoscopy, which, laparoscopic surgical skills, which I think range from lap chole to laparoscopic nephrectomy to laparoscopic hernia repair to bariatric surgery too. I think you do laparoscopic bariatric surgery. So, sir, before we come hand you the award, I just have one small question to ask. Sir, is there anything that you cannot do laparoscopically?
He cannot keep women's mouth shut. With the laparoscope.
But that doesn't need a laparoscope. that just needs to give them something that is good enough. Today's my Father's Day, so I just brought a cake home, and my wife and the family was very, very happy. But no, I don't think. I mean, I wouldn't suggest. This is one thing which I would like to tell Dr. Rekha, that you do laparoscopic surgery, yes, but you do not look down upon people who cannot do laparoscopic surgery.
No, never.
I always tell people you should do what you are best at. If you're good in open surgery, go ahead and do that. No problem. There's no choice at all. Whichever way you are comfortable and good at, that's the way you should do. Laparoscopy, almost all surgeries today are done by laparoscopy. Of that, there is no doubt. And there are very great surgeons, much better than me, in this field. However, I would say only one thing, like I told you, all surgeries can be done by laparoscopy, but all surgeries need not be done by laparoscopy if you are not well versed with it.
And very often, sir, laparoscopic surgeries are also need to be rescued. So rescue open surgery is always there.
Yeah. So this is one thing what is happening in the present times is that at Rajawadi I used to always train my residents that every houseman, every registrar will do an open surgery with me. They know the anatomy much better. Second time we put in the laparoscope, I do it in front of him so he can learn from it. And next surgery, I let him do it and I assist. And then I let him on his own. That is the way I've been training at least my residents. But open surgery is a must. That there is no doubt about that part.
Sir, it's a great privilege to offer you to award you the award today of excellence, and you richly deserve that.
I have got one small thing to add also. Since Dr. Mathur is there, incidentally, I learned my endoscopy from Dr. Mathur in KM Hospital. He was the one who taught me how to do endoscopies. And I still do my endoscopies. And he was the one who taught me. So I can never forget.
Dr. Mathur has taught all of us.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I can never forget what he has done for me.
He's been a teacher to all of us. So
he has been my teacher, like I've been to many other teachers.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Mathur, can you please sum up the thing?
Yeah.
Sir.
See, Sharad, what you have achieved. See, you have one thing, I mentioned that thing even when Shailesh was talking about the sports. And I'm always admirer of the sports people, the sportsmen. Okay. And because I feel that the sports brings the special kind of discipline in you. And I think, I don't say that if you don't have a sports background, you can't become a good surgeon. I can't say that, but definitely if you have a sports background, you do become a good surgeon. And that's what is reflected because the planning and everything. When you are participating in the competition in that swimming, that's what your field of excellence. You do plan mentally towards the success. What you are saying that I am my own icon. Okay. That means you are setting your own goals for yourself. You are not trying to mimic somebody else. And that's what happens in the surgical field also. That you set a goal and then you want to push that goalpost ahead and say that can I go up to that level. So that comes from sports and the surgical thing, the comparison. definitely I would like to congratulate you personally for getting this award and all those awards which you have achieved in the past. So once again, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So at the end, Rajeshri, uh, I just wanted to conclude as you requested me. Today has been one of the excellent day that I have spent, the Father's Day. And this is the kind of gift that you have actually honored your father, late father, Mr. Ramesh Gadgil, and by getting all these people from various different fields. And it's not a mean task to get from every different subspecialty, just like your father would have done it today. From orthopedics, we have skin specialist dermatologist, we have great diabetologist, we have great gastrointestinal surgeon, laparoscopic surgeon, endoscopic surgeon, and we have ENT surgeon. So we have what we have learned today is success is not a shortcut, and you need endurance, you need commitment, you need focus, you need very hard work, and you have to have single-minded focus on your goal. And that is what we have learned today from various speakers, and they have been excellent. I think this has been a great learning for me. I had actually come in the beginning to just stay for a while and then go away, as she had said, but she requested me, and I was so happy that I continued right from the beginning, from word A till probably the end, and I have been really happy about it, and I have learned a lot. I was I had heard about some personalities like Dr. Mohan, Dr. Nagi Reddy, Dr. Mathur sir. Of course, I had met them in the past, but I had actually in person or virtually, I had an opportunity to meet them personally and hear from them their experiences, their success story, their life history. And this is a great teaching which Mr. Gadgil would have loved. This is what was his vision. Teach, teach wisdom, teach excellence. And this is what we are aspiring for. And all those people who have got this have come together today. And hats off to Rajeshri that you have been able to get them, because getting them on one platform is no mean task. This was really too good. I think this is one of the best day I've spent, especially on the Father's Day, and I really thank you for that. It is really, I'm really honored, and it's a great privilege. And thank you very much, and thank you very much for all those stalwarts who are still there, logged in, and especially Sharat Cheno at the end, which was very good. Madam Rekha Bhatkande and Sir Surendra Mathur sir, thank you very much for coming. And Mr. Avinash, Dr. Avinash Wagale and Vedas, who are also there logged in. And I would like to have the recording of this. I would like to share that. I would like to keep this in my archives, because this is what I'm going to hear again and again. And I think Sharat Chenoy is going to give his book as a compliment to all of us for hearing him. Thank you very much.
Yes, I just got one small thing to add here.
Yes.
I am a very technically challenged person. And today, being Father's Day, my wonderful daughter came to help me out. She was sitting under the table when I was trying to stream and sharing the screen. I would just like you to, Nandini.
No, but she must come. She must come.
She's here. She is here. She was sitting under the table with me. She is sitting. That's my loving daughter.
She must celebrate.
Nandini, I showed you a photo. Yeah. I just wanted to thank you for letting me speak over here.
She must speak.
And she made it possible. She made it possible for me. She wants to speak something?
Yeah, she has to.
Yeah, yeah.
You should surely say something about your father.
If I had known that he was going to do this, I would have dressed better for the occasion. I was only prepared to sit under the table. I guess a lot has been said about my father by the people who have known him. It's like the world is kind of divided into two kinds of people. There are the people who like say and talk about like the things they're going to do, and there are people who just do the things they're going to do and then they talk about it later. And I think I'm very proud of the fact that my father has always been like a doer. He has always been one to, instead of like wax eloquent about things, he has always been one to kind of lead by example, whether that has been like showing us that he has worked day in day out every single day for every single thing he has achieved. And I don't know that there is I, of course, maybe it's a biased opinion, but I feel that he deserves every single ounce of his success and so much, much more than this. Because, like, he really is like one of those people who inspires through the way that he is, through his being. And I have seen over the years firsthand how many people's lives he has impacted. And I think that even if I manage to live up to 10% of the legacy that he has like put in place, I think I would have lived a very like fulfilled life. Like, I honestly don't know how he's managed to do all the things that he has done, uh, like in the time that he had. And like, despite all doing all of these things, he's still been like a very present and a very loving father. And he's always like, you can't fault him on anything, which can be a little bit infuriating also, because it's like, how can you be so perfect as a person? Like, there has to be like somewhere, right? Like, show us all that we are also like, show us that you're human. But I think that it was very, it's like a, I don't know, I'm very lucky to have him. Like, he only had himself to kind of inspire himself. But I guess I am very lucky that I have him. So
you're really resonating all the daughters there. So and they're honestly big shoes to fit in.
Yes, they are incredibly big shoes to fill, but I would really like to try to one day fill them.
She will succeed. I'm sure of that.
And we wish you all the very best for it.
Yeah, thank you.
All the best. All the best. Very well said.
So much. And so I will, on that note, really thank you for making this really, really special. And what can I say? But Dr. Sharat Chinmay has added completely to the, he's just made the show extremely great and good till the end. And who but he could have actually been in the morning. We were talking about who would end the show, and this is how you end the show, is what you've seen. I would, of course, we've had the valedictory from Dr. Ram Prabhu, and these are my favorite people. Dr. Rekha Bhatkande, you all have been staunch support and strong support. You have scolded me when it's needed, and you've always been there. So you're more than family, mentors, parents to me. So that makes me, of course, the pain of the loss is a lot lesser. Dr. Ram Prabhu, I can always say that with you and Dr. Meena Prabhu, both of you. But the honor, of course, of ending today's session is with Dr. S.K. Mathur, and I have more than highest regard and respect for him, and of course, so many across the country have that for him. And I would request him, the great show that it has been. Only, sir, you can close the session for us today. And for this year and the 75th birth anniversary of my father and Father's Day, and only it needs your respect and honor in the end. Thank you so much, sir. We would like to hear from
Rajshri, actually, by selecting the awardee today, the type of awardee, what Dr. Ram was saying, that he thought he will sit for some time and then he said two. Okay, means he was compelled to set two. Okay, is the biggest tribute you have paid today to your father on Father's Day.
Sure.
Because all the awardees are stalwarts. Okay, means we looked at their life and the way it is, it's amazing. like at any international level, these will be the best award. And to select all of them on given day, on the birthday, 75th birthday, birth anniversary of your father, I think is the biggest gift you have given to him. And we are lucky, since I'm talking from the point of view of myself and other guests like Dr. Ram Prabhu and Dr. Rekha Bhaskande, that we are lucky to be part of this program.
Definitely, yes.
So, on behalf of everybody, I want to thank you for inviting and making us a part of this.
Which this was in person, and I could have really paid my gratitude with a namaskar to all of you. And with you only, I will keep working hard and raising the bar higher and higher when it comes to wisdom and excellence, and taking all your wisdom and excellence forward year on and year on till I can.
Thank you very much, and good night, and have a wonderful weekend, and tomorrow also for your program.
Sure, thank you
for
so
everybody.
much.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Good
And
night.
I'm ending the session with a promo, of course. The RSG ENERGYA team, because they have been relentlessly working hard to take this program to reach them to as many as possible. Thank you so much, all the dignitaries, and have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much.